Eventually, we just started. I feel like people know the story like a million times.
Yeah.
Eventually, we just started chatting about how, oh, like we're actually like these ideas are like interesting. The things that we're talking about are interesting, and I'm like, oh, we need to like record this as like a keepsake.
Yeah.
Because we would always like we had like this like we were like totally in photo taking culture in school a lot. Like we would like take photos like everything, like whenever we were like hanging out doing whatever, we would like with our friends, whoever, like we would always take photos and then we just like look back on them later and be like, oh, that was sick.
And I remember like right before we started as well, like we were going through like all of our photos and we were thinking like, damn, we used to be so creative back then. Like what happened, what changed, and we wanted to like recapture stuff like that. But we just talk about like
so within once, so then we started recording it, but then for some reason it went from like, oh, let's just record this and keep this on our computers to, oh, let's live stream this as we record it to, oh, let's just like post it. And it was just over FaceTime. And then I came to Auto for the summer. We're like, okay, we're just gonna do this in person. And then we're just like, oh, our friend here, do you want to come on? Yeah,
and then we started interviewing.
And then we went to like parties and did like podcasts with like 6 people.
And then
like
we interviewed a mother and her daughter.
Yeah.
Some wait, was she Harvard graduate?
No, she did get accepted to Harvard, but she went to McGill because her parents didn't want her going far away. And then she, we were just like, yeah, man, we're just having fun. Like there's not really much thought behind this. We're just having fun with it.
Yeah, honestly, we just wanna learn from people, and like we wanna expand our repertoire to like, I mean, like Andrew and I typically have pretty sophisticated conversations, and we don't wanna be too much in like a vacuum. So we wanna have like, I guess, a wind tunnel of information, so to speak. But yeah, anyways, so.
Ladies and gentlemen,
welcome to tonight's Motive. Here we have Ayush Bhargava. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, like, I do a lot of like startup stuff. I currently go to the University of Waterloo in the engineering program. I mean, outside of startup stuff, do a lot of sports and running, and yeah.
What'd you have for breakfast?
Granola.
Straight oats?
Like granola and milk.
Just like, oh. What? Like with sugar or just like straight granola?
Just straight.
Okay.
And then fruit.
Okay,
real. That's a good question.
I read that you're a bagel fan.
Oh yeah.
I'm a bit of a bagel connoisseur myself, actually.
Really?
You know Kettleman's?
Yeah.
I love that place.
Oh, dude.
It's one of my first. I feel like as a kid, like the place I love most, like outside my home, were like Kettleman's, Apple Store.
Oh my god.
And you go to Apple Store a lot?
Yeah, it was like it wasn't weekly trip to the Apple Store, but like the thing is, Best Buy was much closer to my house. Apple Store was like really far, so like weekly trip to like Best Buy, but then like sometimes like once in a while the Apple Store, which is like so fire.
And I remember
I was always like looking at the technology.
He was always saying like, yo, like one day I'm gonna afford the whole ecosystem, like all of it.
Yeah, I was always talking about copying the whole Apple ecosystem. For some reason, I really thought that like Apple products, especially Macs, were like I don't know. I just didn't understand how like anybody could afford it. Like I remember looking at like back in the day, there was the base level MacBook Air that was 11 inches, cost $999. And I was like, oh my God, like just maybe one day by like the grace of God, I'll be able to afford like this base level, like, cause it's like under $1,000.
True.
And then my dad was there with me and he's like a engineering Microsoft. He's like, oh no, that one it's like not powerful at all. Like that one won't do anything.
Bro.
And I was like, really? And then I remember like, I think it was in grade 3, Raghav told me like, oh, my brother has an iMac. And I'm like, no, what do you mean? Like that's cap. I'm like, what do you? He's like, yeah, like he like programs on it. I'm like, what? Like, no, like seriously?
In grade 3, how old were you then, bro? Like.
Well, no, that must be it. That must have been grade 5 for him. And I in grade 6 or maybe grade 6 or grade 7.
Okay.
I started coding.
Okay.
Grade 6, grade 7. That's how long you started.
Yeah.
Wow, really? What got you into programming so early?
Oh, my dad like told me to
to
start
that's
building
smart.
to build a website with his HTML book.
Oh, you like read the whole thing in grade 7, man.
Yeah.
Were you into it or what? Was your dad pushing you?
No, I wasn't like as into it at that time. I took like a big break from doing that in high school, but I at least like got some stuff, website stuff.
How do you feel about taking that break? Does this matter or?
At this point, it doesn't really matter.
Right.
Because I grinded later on.
Okay.
on coding.
Because I remember always regretting that I didn't do it as a child.
Oh yeah,
But that's
me
back.
as well.
You know when you're like in high school, like grade 12, whatever. You're always looking around.
Yeah,
You're seeing these
exactly.
kids who are.
Yeah, no, I was about to say you're one of those
Phoenix
kids
is
who
day
have been
one.
coding since they were 8 years
Because
old.
I remember always like going to these different like programs once in a while. Like my parents would buy me books and stuff, but I would just be like, what is this? Like it never made sense to me because I would like watch like all these keynotes and stuff, and I'd be like obsessed with tech. It was like that era of tech where it was like super glorified before everything kind of came back down to earth, and like there's like a ton of like regulatory stuff and like more of like a balance. Like back then it was like shit like crazy, and I was like, and then I opened up this book, and it's like it just shows me like some HTML stuff, and then I'm like, what the fuck? Like, it takes like this long to make a fucking table. I'm like, this website looks like ass. How is this gonna make me be like Johnny Ive? Like, what the fuck? So I just like every time I just dropped it.
True.
And
you were exposed to it several occasions. And you
multiple
were like,
occasions.
Yeah.
And every time I was just like,
no,
like what? Like this is tech?
really. I heard
sure.
about it, but I was so committed to being a doctor. And then when I like learned, like I was so committed, and then I switched like right before first year. But ever since then, like when I like started doing comp sci, I like have an existential crisis every time I see someone who's like started earlier before me. And even like on Friday, like my like we were actually like I was talking, we were actually talking about you and with my friend, and I was saying like, yo, like this guy's done startups, and then I saw like on your LinkedIn that it said you sold your startup, and I was just thinking, damn, like I'm so behind, bro. Like I was just thinking I'm so far behind. So I want to learn more about that, man. What got you into your two startups? It was two, right? Like Change Room and Creator Crew. I've heard so many stories. I heard that you met Mr. Beast amongst other things. So like what was your journey starting from like, I guess like high school onwards to Waterloo and then starting your startups? Like what was your play that you were thinking?
Well, it wasn't a very planned route, but it was like it started off like in like grade like 12, grade 11. We're just like I was in like this like kind of like I was at Bell High School, which is like more like it's like the gifted program, right? So it's like more like people that are like trying to do like stuff.
Is that IB?
No, just gifted.
Just gifted. Okay.
But there's like people like from all over, like they're not just from like the local area, right? They're like from like,
Right.
like the other like surrounding Ottawa areas. But like people were kind of motivated to do stuff. So like the first ever like business that we kind of like created was like me and these guys are now all at Waterloo, funny enough. Like there's like
all the ones from
I was working on that business. So it's like
in Ottawa.
Yeah, in Ottawa. So like we were working on Change Room at the beginning. Change Room, and the name made a bit more sense at that time. Was like a sizing recommendation tool to help like people like.
Yeah, I remember hearing about that back in the day.
Yeah, and like we did like summer like so we just kind of like I don't know like just randomly thought like hey sizing is a problem, and like we spent a lot of time like trying to like build a recommendation algorithm tool. Like we used the summer company program, which is like basically this like $3,000 grant you get.
No way. From where?
From Ontario government grant.
No way.
It's like kind of connected with Invest Ottawa, which is
I'm familiar.
yeah, and so like and then that was like summer of 2019, I think.
Wow.
Yeah, summer 2019, right. And then through that program, like we actually like, or like on our own, like we like talked to like some like Ottawa businesses and like, hey, like you want to like use our tool, and we actually got like a decent like 5 like Ottawa businesses by just like walking into their like and walking into their shops, say, hey, we're high school kids, do you want to like use our recommendation algorithm tool, right? And like before we learned about like the Shopify ecosystem, clearly like we struggled with actually researching. We literally like manually embedded our like sizing recommendation tool into their websites. Just that's not an app they download.
They gave you like full access.
Yeah, they were like, hey, no, actually we were there. We were like, hey, can you go to your Shopify store? And then we just like, okay, then we looked through all their like files, and we're like, okay, let's just embed
just
it,
copy and paste
like our code into there. Yeah, I
didn't know how to make like an API.
No, nothing.
yeah, that's so much trust on their end too.
Yeah, So it was interesting and like funny enough. Like we got like one of the most interesting things that came out of that was we somehow got we submitted an award. We got submitted for an award for the best new Ottawa business. So somehow like us like
How much rev at this point?
$0.
That says a lot about like Ottawa startup scene.
Full bootstrap.
Fully bootstrapped.
Yeah.
It's just high school students, and we go to this like conference or no, this like award show, and like we're all like it was a team of like 4 of us, right? And we go into this like award show, and like it's like all these like the richest people in Ottawa are there, right? So like, you know, like Bruce Linton. No, I didn't see Toby, but Bruce Linton and I don't know, I didn't know all their names really, but like they're just like all fancy people, and like funny enough, like they wanted us to pay like $1,000 like a ticket, but like we were able to ask some like other people to pay for us.
Like, got the sponsorship.
We got some sponsorship to even afford to be at the award show.
Bruce allowed it.
Something I don't know how we ended up getting that, but so we go, we're like the youngest people there. Like everyone's so old, and we're just like some high school kids, just like out of place. And then we get called up, and it just like it's interesting. It was like, hey, change room, and then but like what was unique was that there's a Shopify, like some of the like top, not like Toby, but some of the top Shopify people were actually there at the conference.
Wow.
And we're like, wait, this is our chance. Maybe we can get bought out by Shopify.
Yeah.
Because they were there for their own award because they won like best acquisition.
Oh, they weren't there. They weren't even there to like just network. They actually were there to receive awards.
Oh yeah.
And you're like, hey.
So like we're like, hey, like we won best new Ottawa business, you know, like let's connect, right? So then we like they go up to the bar and they're like getting drinks, but we can't get any drinks because we're like underage.
Does the bartender like no?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's really obvious. So, but then we're like, hey, like how? And then I think like my like co-founder he got an iced tea or something.
Nice.
And then we tried chatting them up. We're like, hey, like you know, this is what we're working on. They're like, that's pretty cool. And we're like, I don't like we were trying to like you know like get tight with them, but like the first encounter didn't really work out. But then we met them like later on at the venue, and their wives were there. So then their wives were like, hey, you got to give them a tour of the Shopify office.
No way.
Yeah.
And did they?
They actually gave it. They're
Holy
like,
shit.
we're like, okay, our next day off from the school is Friday. So let's PD day or whatever.
Nice. It worked out perfect.
No PD days. Oh, that's so good.
And like we all like like we all went to the Shopify office, and like their like executives like gave us like a tour of their
That's
place.
so dope.
Oh my god, that's great that the wives were there to help out.
Yeah,
they
honestly.
really came clutch for
The
us.
guys were like, nah. The guys were like, no.
Who are these?
But
They weren't feeling it. They weren't going to let you become the youngest 30 under 30.
I remember back in the day in Ottawa, like tech lore, getting a tour of Shopify was like that's it.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
That's like the
yeah,
top of the
yeah.
top
Still
thing that
is.
could
Like,
happen
there's
in
nothing
Ottawa.
else in Ottawa.
It's like if you can get a tour of Shopify, like you get invited to Shopify
Yeah.
as like a high school student, bro. Any
Mm.
university you want, Harvard, Stanford, where are you? Like,
Yo, yeah, all the people at TKS as well, bro. Oh my gosh, man.
yeah, bro, Shopify.
Yeah,
Everyone loves Shopify.
Where's Toby? You guys know Toby?
I actually saw Toby, but I didn't like say hi to him. But I saw him
Really?
You saw him.
when I was at the office.
You went? Oh, when you saw?
Yeah.
you were at the
Oh, how
office.
did he look? Was he like menacing? Did he have like aura, like JoJo symbols floating above his head?
I mean, yeah, he seemed definitely intimidating.
This guy's like seems so focused always.
Who? Toby?
Toby, yeah.
Yeah. He was pretty focused. He was dialed in when I
He
saw him.
looks
I
dialed.
saw him in his office. He was
Oh,
on the grind.
Was it like a big office?
Yeah.
Yo, that was on the come up though.
Huh?
That was on the come up though. He must have been feeling himself low key. Like
Mm.
2019.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yo, oh my god.
Literally the next year, all the way up,
Zoom?
man.
And every like Shopify like office had like different like themes. So every level was like a different theme. So it was the coolest stuff. Like I don't know. It was like I don't know why they closed that office, but that was
Money.
Yeah, I guess money.
Yeah.
But that was like the craziest office I've ever been in. And basically like they were giving us a tour, and they're like, hey, have you heard of the Shopify ecosystem? So that's how they got it. They got us into the ecosystem.
That's how you learned how to make the
learned
API.
Instead of searching up, they had to manually, bring us in their office and tell us. But basically, like we met like like when were there, like, oh, you guys are like the youngest shop. They're like, okay, well, you guys can start, and you guys are gonna be probably the youngest Shopify partners. Official
Partners.
Yeah, like they call it like their
Yeah.
like people in their ecosystem, their partners, Shopify partners. So
Wow.
it doesn't really mean that much, but you know, we were pretty proud. We're like, oh, we're the
Yeah.
youngest Shopify
Yeah,
partners.
In
That
history.
batch.
Yeah, I don't know. Like that's what the partnership, like head of partnerships said. I don't know if maybe he doesn't know everyone that's involved in all the partnerships, but
No, well, actually,
Yeah.
my cousin
Oh yeah.
from
No.
mainland China, right? Yeah, 12 years old.
Mainland
Bro,
China.
Shopify partners.
Yeah, he started coding when he was in the womb. He was born with an analog computer. What is that? Like the abacuses?
You just like, I don't know, can you do it through like Morse code, like through the, you know?
What?
You just like hear the baby tapping. I just like type it in the keyboard for them.
Well, oh yeah, I like translate. Like like when they kick the
Yeah, when
belly,
they, when
bro.
they kick the bell, yeah.
Oh
it's
my
Morse code.
Yo, so how did you go
They
from
only find out if it compiled when they like, you know,
if it compiles?
when
bro?
you know, like when they come out the womb, they find out.
Oh yeah,
Did it
yeah,
work or
yeah.
not?
Then they tell them how to
and
correct
that's how they
it.
know, and that's how they know instantly. Like
The baby
like
debugs it
which,
for the
which
doctors.
school to send it.
Oh.
Oh, okay, yeah, they get one more chance. They get one more chance to debug it for the doctors. But
Their
if not,
grade, bro. They're like, okay, yeah.
that's how they know
Harvard
the
right
streams,
away.
right?
Oh.
Yo, we need to stream as early as possible.
Yeah, they already know,
The-
bro. Man, yeah, my was destined for Algonquin College when I was born, so I already got out of the trenches from that one. No, but so I was wondering, how did you get from like, I don't know, like Waterloo CS to startup land? Like, what was your push towards that? I mean, I guess you already were exposed to a lot in high school.
Right, yeah. So like, well, after all that, like Kajam, like basically like we were building kind of like that, like kind of like startup, like the way we were building a startup wasn't like the right way to build a startup, but like it was just like, oh, that's cool, we should just start building, and like I guess it was like a continuation. So like that was like by that Shopify words, like we were like senior year, right? And this is about to be like COVID was about to hit, so we were about to have like a lot more time before like university, right? So this is like I think we're at that point we're all like I think got accepted in the Waterloo, so like the whole team was gonna go to Waterloo, so it kind of worked pretty well, and like but I kind of used that like that like COVID era as an opportunity to get like technical again. So like started like doing like React and like you know like getting back into the web development space. And basically what the Shopify like partnerships team said is, hey, we're launching a new ecosystem on Shopify called like marketplaces. Basically build a way to like have like a bunch of different stores on one marketplace, right? So they kind of support that. So like kind of building an Amazon for Shopify.
Yeah.
And we're like, oh, that's
So
cool.
if you have a product in your own store, they just like automatically push it to their kind of large dashboard.
Yeah. So we're like, okay, this is a really good opportunity. But like, again, like this is not the right way to build a startup. Is like, oh, there's a cool opportunity. Let's just go after it. But we just went with it because we didn't really know better. So we're like, okay, the sizing recommendation tool. You know, we got an award. No, we're good with that. That's a done deal. Let's move on.
You stopped working on it after that?
Yeah. We're like, okay, on to newer and better things.
Yeah.
And basically, we spent a whole summer, like before like Waterloo, just like building out this like mobile app where like we'd have like local Shopify businesses to sell. They could sell their like products on that mobile app.
Oh, nice.
So
was that like as an official partner with Shopify?
yeah,
as well?
kind of. Yeah, basically.
Wow.
So we're gonna be like one of the first ever like launched on their Shopify platform. And I like so like that's kind of when I first got like you know like some development experience. But like there was like my buddy who's like he's in Waterloo like ECE like computer engineering. He was like kind of our lead developer, but then like we slowly kind of like I wanted to focus more on school, and I started taking like development a bit more seriously.
Okay.
Because he had like different priorities, but
like development on like
on
projects.
our app,
Okay,
on our app. And like, but when we got to Waterloo, the first thing like I did was I joined like a Velocity, like tried to get in the Velocity ecosystem, which is like pretty popular around here.
Yeah.
And like, but like since it was like online, there was like less resources. So, but one thing they had was like these concept coaches. Basically, you just get a meeting with a concept coach, and then like they'll give you advice, right? So like I talked to like a concept coach, and they're like local businesses. That's like way too broad of an audience. Like it's like not even easy to like market that. So it's like you got to pick like a niche, and that was like a pretty like smart like thing to say. So we're like, okay, let's figure out like what kind of Shopify stores are we going to target, and somehow like by like chatting with like different people or like, hey, maybe sustainable clothing market's like an emerging like clothing market at the, so 2020 like like I guess it was emerging, and we're like, okay, why can't we create the hub for sustainable like fashion businesses? And I guess then we went with that because we already had a mobile app built, right? So it wasn't like a big change to just target a specific space. And like at the same time, so there's other velocity thing called velocity pitch, like velocity concept pitch, which you can like pitch and you can get like $5,000, right? So it's all like undergrad, masters, like PhD students, like all across Waterloo, like kind of join it. There's like, I think when I did it, it was like 100 teams that joined in. And over that time, like I guess like since school was online, I had like more time to do whatever like I wanted, and I took advantage of that. And like I was like throughout that, so I was like working on the pitch for the competition and also like building the business at the same time. And like I got like 25 like retailers like already like onboarded onto the platform for the first like during the first 4 months of like high school.
Okay.
And that was like the reason like we ended up actually like winning the entire like velocity pitch competition.
Wow.
So we got which like in my first ever like semester in university. So it was pretty hype.
You had the customers to show.
Then how far did you take that?
So we had that momentum and we had all these like retailers using it. Like basically we just had to, like I had this like run where like I was on this cold call like stretch, and I got like 10 retailers signed up on one cold call.
Wow.
But like on like one like day of cold calling, well, other days you get like one or like zero, and it's like demoralizing. But like that was a good run I had, and we were like, okay, let's keep on trying to like expand on that. So then like we did another program at Waterloo called Greenhouse, which is basically like social, like kind of on the social like side things, so like kind of like social nonprofit, but like like a business for good. And that's another like interesting Waterloo program. And through that, like we kind of like tried to understand like our ecosystem a bit more, like sustainability, and which led us to do a e-co-op, which is basically we're going through every single Waterloo entrepreneurship program. E-co-op is like a co-op where like you get a credit and stuff.
Oh, for your own business.
But for your own business.
Wow.
And like Waterloo kind of like supports that. So we were like kind of going all in already at the beginning. And like we got to like a decent, like over that summer, so that was summer now, like after first year, we got like 500 like people kind of using the platform. And it was a decent decent turnout. Like we had like a lot of like momentum, and it was a good like decent turnout. But like it's kind of like hard to like when you're not like actually that passionate about the problem you're solving, which like we just saw an opportunity, right? Yeah. We saw sustainability as a good opportunity. Like we personally are not. I mean, this is not. I'm not even wearing sustainable clothing right now, right?
Yeah.
Like I'm not like. I don't even think I own a sustainable apparel. So like, how do you motivate yourself to like fight for a problem that you don't even care about, right? You just saw an opportunity and you went with it. So it was like, like we had this like original momentum. Like we had all these retailers using it, and then we had like a decent amount of users. But like, we just kind of like, what's the next thing?
Just want to move on.
Just kind of like want to move forward.
So take us from like high school, like end of grade 11, grade 12. How has the team changed so far? Have you like brought more people in who you met in Waterloo?
Yeah.
Particularly?
So there's like, so basically the team changed where like, we had about 4 people, when like in high school, including, 4 people in high school. And then like one of them like kind of just dropped after like, when university started, and he was like one of our developers. And then there's like 2 who are kind of like my core like friends. One's like Raymond, who's like the ECE guy, and he kind of slowly dropped because like he got more and more into school. But like he really helped at the beginning, especially to get like And he actually like was the one that kind of slowly went with me and to bring me into development, because like he took his like time, like he answered all my questions, and now like now I'm obviously at a place where like I can like just do things, but like it took like a year for sure, like a good year to like get me kind of geared into like how does like software like web development work, right? So like he was working with me on the projects, right? So if I had a question, I can just like ask him. He's like there, right? And then there's a third guy. His name's like Greg. He's in systems design, and he kind of like dropped. Like he kind of started like focusing on other things, but he comes back later in the story. Later in the story. He just he did his own thing for first couple of years at university.
Why do you think that they chose school over working on opportunity?
Because I mean, like people have like different interests, right? Yeah. So like some programs are harder than others as well. And I mean, there's like other like university offers like other things than like just like entrepreneurship stuff, right? Like some people. And it's kind of like hard to balance both.
And what is it for you?
Oh, well, at that time I was just like, kind of mostly focused on just like entrepreneurship stuff, but like still like connecting with people and meeting people. Yeah. In like first couple of years. At that time.
Okay. Yeah. What do you think it is in you that makes you want to be an entrepreneur? Like in this space.
It just seems like the hardest thing you could do.
Okay.
That's it. That's the motivation. I respect that.
Yeah. You could ever like do, right? So,
yeah. Okay. And where are you at now in terms of like your daily balance?
Oh, now?
Like priorities.
Now, well, like so like after like so that was so like that was like that was first, so after first year. Now like I'm on now it's more balanced, I think. At least until the end of university, more of a balanced life, like like keeping in mind like more like fitness and activities.
Sorry, I just realized I actually jumped. Like there's a gap there. Because you're not in your second year.
So I'm pretty sure you took after second year. Well, what happened with the rest of Change Room?
Right. So after Change Room, so like we did the eco-op and that, and then basically we came across our next big economy, and this is like now economy like I've stuck around in, which is the creator economy. Basically at that time, like one of the like owners that like I had like cold called before had jumped into like the influencer ecosystem, and then she's like, hey, like your app could be useful in my ecosystem, right? So she was like a manager for like some like Instagram creator, right? That didn't like end up working out, but like basically the concept that at that time was to build like this one-stop kind of shop where you can buy like a creator's products, right? And it could be from any brand. So that's kind of where the Change Room theme comes. Like we still use the Shopify ecosystem to do this, but it could be from like any like brand. So basically, if like somebody's like a creator is promoting like, I don't know, like Adidas or like a Nike shoe, for example, they can like tag it on Instagram, and then you can buy the product like right off like a tag, for example.
Right.
And like that's like, and you can kind of buy it in one like cart, one checkout. So it's like really quick, right?
Like from Instagram.
Yeah,
too.
from Instagram.
Yeah.
And that was like the kind of like the new concept, and like that actually like ended up gaining like a lot of momentum over like the next like 8 months. So this is like second year co-op where like we were making all these kind of connections to like I was in Vancouver, so then like I was already like working with people in the music space.
What were you doing in Vancouver?
So I had a co-op. So this time
You're sorry to cut you off. Can you like just a little bit closer to your mouth? Yeah.
So for this co-op, it was at Tradable Bits, really good company. They're like a sports and music entertainment startup, and they worked with a bunch of clients, like really like popular clients, like the Leafs, like the San Antonio Spurs, like big music festivals and stuff. And like basically their platform was like a fan marketing analytics platform. Also helped with the development journey, like it was fully in person, 5 days a week. So all these developers kind of just hanging out at the office, and like that helps a lot when you're like still early on your development journey. You can ask like lots of questions. But also what was kind of cool about this is like being in an office like 5 days a week, you make like a lot better like connections with people. Like these are the kind of people like even now like you can like you just chat with them, and they're like kind of up to date. Like I had like just like a couple months ago, like one of my manager from that era came in and he bought me sushi.
Really?
From Ken Sushi. He came into Waterloo.
Really?
Yeah. And all on a company credit card.
You guys just link up. Are you still with the company?
No.
Oh, that can't.
No, but it was like a year after, and it's like he's still like
They're trying to reel you back in.
Maybe. Yeah. No. Like, he's like anytime you want, you can come back. But like the people there were like I don't know, well-connected people. And basically like somehow like one of them like was like in the music space, and he connected us with this kind of guy named Buck who like he managed a bunch of musicians, and he was like interested in the product we were building. So we were able to integrate it for his like musician. And we also had like...
And this is still like an iterated version of Change already.
Kinda, yeah. It was basically a way to like buy products off like famous people.
Okay. Okay, so you were able to effectively get like customers
get customers
for your startup through your co-op.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And then also had like there was other connections as well, which were pretty useful. And basically, by the time we got back to Waterloo, like for the like summer semester, we were kind of had this like increasing like momentum of all these different like partnerships, and like we even went to like a show for like one of their musicians, like the music like we were like VIPs at their show. We're like, oh wow, this is pretty hype. And we actually got a lot of like we kind of applied late for YC, but like the admissions director like reached out to us and like we were like, hey, like we want you guys to like join into our like batch, right?
Oh.
But like by the time like you can't be in school.
Oh, what?
I mean, you have to like if you want to go to Y Combinator, you definitely have to like drop out,
commit hours.
Yeah. But like by the time like our response like came back, it was like batch was like starting the next day, so it was like already kind of like too late to get in.
Okay. Would you have dropped it though?
I did. We ended up just dropping it regardless.
Oh shit.
But yeah. And so that was like 2020 to like May, for reference. And we were like, okay, if we're gonna like drop out, like we should be in the place where all the creator economy is at. So we went down to like LA.
Yeah. Were you also born in LA?
No, I was born in Ottawa.
Oh, okay. Bhargava was born in LA, right?
He was born in Washington D.C.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
So how did you get to the U.S.?
Well, like
just like
we got a green. I have a green card.
Mute the mics or okay.
How'd you get that?
Because like my parents work in the U.S. or my dad works in the U.S. and he kind of sponsored me.
Oh, really? Okay,
so that's really easy because you don't have to like how like most people Canadians that go to the U.S. for longer term, like if they don't have like a company sponsoring them, they're like in there for like 3 months or something, and then they got to come back. And then they go back.
They can't be running.
That's why I'm just gonna marry Andrew because he's an American citizen.
That's one way to do it. But yeah, so luckily I had no problems like even getting like credit cards and stuff like that, right, in the U.S. because like me and at that time it was just me and this my co-founder who was at that point I was like the technical co-founder, and then there was like another guy who was in like BBA like math, and he was like the business co-founder, and so we were working on this business, and so then we both moved down to Los Angeles, and we're like, okay, like let's like set ourselves a name here, right, and like let's keep on like growing on the momentum.
Where'd you live?
We lived like not in a like we didn't have that much money, so we lived in a like very like scrappy like if you like play GTA, like it's like one of those like not the greatest neighborhoods in LA, but we had a car, which is useful. That's really good. And you can't do anything in LA without a car.
Without a car, I'll say.
LA is just basically I don't actually like LA that much. It's just like a lot of traffic. Like to get anywhere, it takes so long. Like no one talks in like, hey, I'm like 5 kilometers away or something. Like, hey, I'm like 30 minutes away, or hey, I'm an hour away from you. Like, you don't talk in like distance, because like 2 kilometers or 2 miles or whatever get to like an hour. Yeah. Given the traffic, it's like the worst transit.
It's like worse than like GRT.
It's GRT is great, yeah, compared to what they had. But our biggest thing, like when we got to LA, was a big conference called VidCon.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that was like our chance to like use our momentum from Canada, and like now like let's get some like US people like kind of involved.
Right.
And luckily like I knew like some people from the Tradable Bits era. Like one of them worked for, or was good friends with this like huge like owner of this like creator business, like creator like agency, right? So they manage like hundreds of agencies, and he is like, he kind of guided me, and he's like, hey, you need to go to this like creator hotel, because there's VidCon's this big basically like fan event where like there's like creators kind of go talk. You don't actually if you go there as a fan, you're not going to talk to any creators,
it's
right?
It's like a Comic-Con and stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly.
You just like see them sometimes and then.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so how did you go about trying to sell or, make partnerships with these
Creators.
I'm
content?
familiar with the Creator Hotel. Like it's where all the actual.
What is the
creators-
Yeah.
Creator Hotel?
So like basically, so we had that one in, and then like my co-founder, he also had another in where he knew somebody working for a YouTuber,
Which one?
named Jordan Matter, and he's you might
Yeah.
not know him, but he's like got 18 million in following on YouTube.
Really?
He's huge, right? He's more in the like family channel, so he does a lot of content with his like.
How do you know him?
So my co-founder knew him.
Yeah.
He grew up with one of the people
Wow.
on his team, so like we were like that was a good
Right.
connection. So we had two big kind of connections to get in, and basically you got to get these. Basically the whole like creator conference thing is like just wristbands, and
Yeah.
they just like some people get more wristbands than others, and they kind of like give them out. So like we're like luckily like we got like wristbands and stuff,
Nice.
and we go to this creator hotel. And that's where we only touched foot in the actual conference like on the last final day, but like we just spent our entire time at this creator hotel. Like some of like crazy creators just kind of like walking around like,
Really?
like at this conference. Like this is like their chill environment, right? There's no fans like running at them.
Right.
They're just like hanging with creators. And basically there's all these in this like hotel. There's all these like booths. Are like huge, I guess, rooms to say it with all these themes. So there's like the Amazon room, there's the Facebook room, there's like the Instagram, YouTube room, and they're all trying to like spoon feed these like creators to like, can we talk a bit more, right?
Yeah.
And
Like sponsorships and stuff like that.
Are they like? What do you mean?
What are they trying to sell to them?
They just want to
Yeah.
get them more involved in their ecosystem, right?
Oh, I see.
Like the more like attention, more like time they
Mind
spend.
share.
Like TikTok was huge back then, so they had the biggest like
They did.
they had the biggest like room.
I guess they're also aiming for the most growth.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, like they were trying to pull creators onto their platform.
Exactly, right?
Oh, yeah, I see.
So like,
So they just make them like feel like the most comfortable, so that they like the brand more.
Exactly.
They want to post more. Okay. Yeah.
so they have all these like free food and stuff.
Yeah.
and,
Yeah.
it was like probably as one of the conferences, like one of the two conferences where you had the best opportunity to talk to like YouTubers and creators, and kind of like going into that. So that's the first time going into something like that.
Right.
And my mindset at that time, like, hey, like I'm like a founder, right? I'm working on this thing, right? But it turns out, and pretty obviously, like creators don't like founders very much.
Really?
They're kind of like there for their own fun, right? They're like, hey, like we're getting like spoon feeded by all these like companies, right? They don't want to talk like business.
Talk business.
Most of them actually don't want to talk business at all. Like they're not like they kind of let a lot of their like they usually have like managers and stuff who deal with that.
Yeah.
They just kind of like there for like shits and giggles and just hang out with their
Yeah.
friends, right? We kind of learned that pretty quickly. And like we did make a lot of like connections to like the managers, like the people that kind of like manage these like creators. So it's like all these companies. There's probably like 100 of these companies that have like their exclusive talent. So
Right.
if you want to work with any of their creators, you got to work with the exclusive talent manager.
Really.
Right? Which is like really annoying because they're kind of gatekeeping like creators, right? But like creators happy, right? They don't have to deal with any of the business stuff, and they're getting all this money, right?
Are they signed to them in terms of any money they make is like a profit share, like an agent, or is it just that's like their only source of income, and then any like ad revenue just like goes straight to the management firm?
It's usually like a split. So like
Okay.
like it depends on the company, right? There's some companies like which like are more in the earlier companies were like even harder on the creators. So they're like, oh, let's split ad revenue, but then that model kind of phased out after a while, and instead they'd split brand deals. So like if like a brand is going to pay them like
okay.
10,000, we're like, okay, I'll take 30% off that, right?
Yeah, it's typically the brand deals that give the most amount.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay.
And that's what they like the most. Like
Okay,
if
so
you
they
reach
can't
out
do
to
any brand deals through anybody else except for their management firm.
wait, say that again.
So they can't do any brand deals with unless it's through their management firm.
Yeah, like most
Okay.
most of the time, it really obviously depends on like what like contract they have, but yeah,
Okay.
most of the time like it's usually through their. Some creators are like free loaders where they have like a bunch of like agencies that like, and you have to be a bit bigger to like be like that, where they bring you deals and they're like, okay, we're gonna take 30%. It was just but it's fine because like they still get 30%, and then But like, yeah, so some people do that
Yeah,
way.
I can imagine that would have been really frustrating.
Yeah, I mean, it's like annoying to like deal with the agencies, but we didn't know that then it was going to be annoying. But we're just kind of like making like you like basically on LinkedIn, there's all these people saying, hey, I'm going to be at Bid Summit, and you can reach out to any of them, and they'll probably say, hey, yeah, I'm down for a meeting, because they're basically meeting everyone all day, right? And you could be like the lowest level like person, and you can still talk to them, most of them. But like whether it gets past that is another question, right? We did like from that experience like. Basically so we made a lot of business connections, and we had like set up a couple meetings like after, and we're like, okay, we'll use that like those meetings as kind of momentum and see if we can kind of like make something happen. Like, can we get like a bigger deal for our platform? But what was interesting is like these like the most interesting thing that happened out of that conference was, unrelated to the business, but it was this like basically big each company has like an after party. So Spotify had the biggest after party, right? And basically they booked the entire like Disneyland park.
Oh shit.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
for like 4 or 5 hours or something like that. And that was like the last like after party, right? And we're like, okay, how do we get into this
Fun.
after party for fun?
Yeah.
Or maybe like connect with somebody, but mostly for fun,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
So we know where it is. Obviously, it's at Disneyland. It's not hard to get to, right? And like we kind of find like where like they're like giving out like the bracelets, right? Because everything's bracelets at this place. And obviously, like our connections can't really help us here, because this is like after party level, right? You can't like they're not going to give those out to like anybody. So basically, we like there's this big line, like top creators are just like in this huge line, and then we're like we get in the line and stuff, and then we wait, and then like we go talk to the like Spotify rep or whatever, like Spotify person handing out the bracelets, and they have their like little iPad with all the people that are actually invited to the event. We're like, hey, we're invited, like they're like, what's your name? And we're like, Ayush, and they're like, obviously like we're definitely not on the list, right? Or like we thought we could like fake it or make it, but like so we're like, okay, wait, let's just chill here for a sec, right? So we kind of like watch this process happen, right? We watch these people get in a line with these women with their iPads checking if they're on the list, right? And basically, luckily enough, like 10 minutes later, or maybe 5 minutes later, we watch like they're basically giving these like how like bracelets are all sticking together, right? In this kind of like these pages, right? We watch this like the Spotify lady rip very badly a bracelet, and 2 other bracelets fall out. 2 bracelets fall out, and I'm like,
there's 2 of you, right?
There's 2 of us.
Yeah.
So we're like, oh my, like this is crazy. So I like huddle over there, and I put my foot on it, and she walks away, and that's how we got into like the craziest like Spotify like
smooth
after.
criminal, man.
we got these like crazy like Spotify like hoodies too. Like
wow.
I should have probably worn it, but yeah, like
That'd have been sick.
it's cool. And then like basically go in this park, and you know how like all the like rides have like a time on them. They're all like 0, so it's like you just can just run to every single
they
ride.
bought at the park.
Basically, like
wow.
it probably like
let's go Spotify. Still in profit.
I can't imagine how much like money it would take to like rent out a park.
Right.
But it's insane. And also Spotify was making really good like podcast deals in those years, man. So it's really incredible.
Oh yeah, no, they definitely spent more on Joe Rogan by like 100 Disneyland. But
did you end up seeing like Hank and John?
No, I didn't see Hank and John. Like on that, I kind of forget like which creators I saw at that time. There were a lot of TikTokers, right? And I don't really follow TikTokers as much.
So you like Cobby? Did you find?
Huh?
Did you see like Cobby Lame?
No. I saw like I don't know. You know Elliot Choi?
No. I also don't really follow TikTok.
Fair enough. Yeah. No, I don't know. Like it was cool. It was a while ago, so I can't even remember like some of the people I met there. But no, they were like pretty like decently sized creators, and like some of them, they have big egos too. So like if you don't know who they are, it's like
you don't know
who I am. I'm about to see my million fans.
Yeah. Like you like awkwardly wait in silence as they pull up their TikTok. Like,
yeah.
Oh, you see this?
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. So, in terms of the people who went to this party, like they were on the list. What's the criteria? Do they get chosen because they want to build a relationship with them, or is it a matter of like connecting with?
No, I think
somebody?
like all these like agencies kind of fight Shopify. Say, hey, can you get my creators on the list?
Okay. Through the agencies.
Because the creators themselves are not going to do any of that work. Basically, agencies are also trying to help these. Oh, I'm the cool agency. Don't leave me. So they want to
get them into the parties that they like.
Yeah, exactly.
Most creators run by like management firms? And
Yeah,
agencies?
100%. Like,
Wow.
like at least like big creators. Like anybody like if you're too small, no management firm's gonna sign you.
Yeah.
But like most of them are signed. Like I don't know that many that are like full just do everything by themselves. Like creators are like more like, I don't know, like they're really good on the content side, but then they usually need a bit more help on the business side.
Yeah, I could imagine.
Yeah. But I think actually at that conference, you guys know Colin and Samir?
Yes.
Yeah, so I saw those guys.
Who?
Colin and Samir.
They're be familiar.
They're big.
They've definitely seen them.
They're big
they
creator.
Interview other creators.
Yeah.
And
I
they
must
break
have
it all
seen
down.
their face.
Yeah, exactly.
They break it all down.
What do you mean break it all down? Like their fit?
The journey.
Oh.
Yeah.
Like the different tactics, the strategies. I think that's what they do. I watched some of their videos.
They're really cool.
Yeah. I love those guys.
Did you get to like talk to any of these creators outright?
Yeah, like a little bit, you know, like these kind of like smaller conversations and.
Okay. Yeah. So how do you feel about that scene? That's so.
Yeah, like
that's so different.
Serendipity, man.
Oh,
That must be glimpses to the max.
I can't even like that's like.
Oh, dude.
How do you operate in that kind of environment, man?
It's all like that area
It's
is like
clout.
It's like status, right? So like some people, like for example,
max.
like the most like weirdest experience I got, or like on like which kind of like showed like what this like economy is about, is like, so I was talking to this like one dude, right? Like just starting the conversation, like, hey, how's it going? And then I'm like, hey, I'm like a founder, right? And he's like, okay, what does it do? Like, so he didn't answer any of my questions, right? I was like, he's like, hey, what do you do? And he's like, that's the first question they always ask. Hey, what do you do, right? So you gotta have a good response. But I just said, yeah, I'm like a founder. And he's like, what are you doing? And I'm like, oh, I'm working on, like, first line. And he leaves, like, not even finishing my first line. He's like, yeah, I'll find it. And he just leaves. He'll find it somehow. I don't know if he found it, but like that just shows, like, if you're not of interest to this guy, you're not going to help him level up. He's not going to talk to you.
You think networking's tough in like for your job? Oh my god.
An SF, bro. Nah, try
in Los Angeles. That's wild.
Because like in Los Angeles, like they're all like snobs, right? They're all like.
I didn't think it was that true. Like I thought it'd be like
so weird because I always heard that, and I'm like,
I thought it was exaggerated.
I was like, whatever.
Yeah, I was like, yeah.
You know, people
they got clout.
Are gonna, just work for themselves. Like that's normal.
Yeah, but
like
no,
you just saying it. I feel like you didn't even say like that much. Like I feel like what you said shouldn't scare me this much, but for some reason, just like hearing that story, I'm like,
yo. But think about like even
like
the young teenager creators who's just like they don't even know how to navigate the real world. They just come in with such big egos.
Yeah, exactly.
It must be terrible as they continue to grow up because like they have nothing to stop them. Like they're just validated for behaving how they are.
Exactly.
Damn, man, that's insane, bro.
Man, that's crazy.
So how did you So how did this continue to evolve with Change Room?
Oh, well, at that time it was like, so Change Room, like we changed the name to Sway for this like new like creator business, like this like shoppable.
Yeah.
But I guess like, so we had all this kind of momentum from Vid Summit. So and for Rev with Vid Summit was like June of last year. And
so May you moved to LA.
Yeah.
Then you went to June.
Yeah.
You went to
VidCon. Yeah. VidCon's yeah. So this like right away, like this like good chance.
And you had until next. Well, I don't know. I don't know if you were taking a year off from university.
Yeah, I took a year off to start out with, so I had till next May to figure things out, right? But like the next like couple months after that, kind of went a bit like downhill. Like the lowest point of the entire first year was like a couple months after that. Like basically, we kind of like the big thing we learned over time is like these agencies are really hard to deal with, right? We talked to like some of the kind of top people thanks to VidCon there. But basically, what are the incentives of agencies, right? We're building this platform for creators to sell products, right? And like they're going to sell products. Usually, it's like affiliate, right? It's like commission. So, but how is an agency gonna be incentivized to say, "Hey, creator, because agencies don't make any money off affiliate, right? If a creator sells a certain amount of product, like how is the agency going to get their money? They like the upfront deals. So when a brand comes to them saying, "Hey, I'll pay you $50,000," agency gets their money right away, right? If you talk to agencies, like they don't want to like deal with commission. That's like they hate that stuff, right? So it's like really hard to navigate through that.
Okay,
right?
I see. I see.
They want
So-
to stay flat.
so
they're
we're-
gatekeeping the creators.
So we're
right?
no. This was 20. This was 20 what? 2020.
2022.
2022, and no creators were making like their own branded, like merch.
No. So no, people were making their own branded merch, but like we were trying to like allow like their partners, like their brand partners, to like if you're partnered with Adidas or Nike or something, to buy you could tag them in your like picture, Instagram picture, right? And you could sell their products. So to make it really easy for customers to buy like a creator's favorite products, right?
Okay.
Right.
But I mean, since the creators, they had their own merchandise, or was that also done through the agencies?
So yeah,
Something like Fanjoy.
Yeah, there are a lot of companies that do like merch for creators.
Yeah.
Like what we noticed as well is like there are a lot, like creator economy is a very heavily packed space. Like there's 20 companies doing everything, right? 20 companies doing like merch. There's like 100 like fan monetization tools. There's like 20 Linktree. You guys know Linktree copycats. Yeah. Like they're just like everyone's copying each other. There's
the Linktree copycats are crazy.
They like love making
Linktree, yeah.
Like it's just like it's so saturated.
Yeah.
Super saturated. So like, yeah, like.
But you stayed
in the creator economy. Yeah. So. But like we kind of like, and also like we had some like, because now we're working like full time, right? We had like more co-founder kind of like difficulties as well. So like the co-founder I was working with at that time, like we kind of like split off, because we were like, you know, when you're like things are going well, relationships soar, right? Yeah. But when things are going bad, like that's when like how well a relationship will do, right? And things were not going as planned, right? We had all this great momentum. I remember we had all this excitement of dropping out and like going to VidCon, but like things are, like I said, like it's super hard to work with these agencies, right? And at the same time, you have to also work with brands, right? So basically you're building a two-sided marketplace, right? You have to get these brands that would be interested in selling their products on a creator's like Instagram, right? And you got to get the creator as well, right? So you got to work with both people, and you got to get something which has the right fit, right? Something which could work. And that's just a really like hard process to like get done, right? Like it's really hard to work with these agencies. And at the same time, like even if you get a brand interested, you got to find the right creator. Like not any brand, like if you get like this, like, I don't know, like this, like a shoe brand, for example, not all creators are going to, you know, like this type of shoe, right?
You got all brands are going to like this type of creator.
Exactly. Right. Yeah. So you have to do that. And agencies are the ones that usually do this stuff, right. But they're not incentivized to help you at all. Right. So it was a difficult process, and yeah, I was kind of like working more on the technical side of like, you know, making sure everything's kind of working, and then like my co-founder is working on the business side, and I also kind of jumped on the business side as well, but like things were not like working out, and like by the end of the summer, like we kind of like split off. Like he went back to school, wow. But basically like with my program, like it's engineering program, like you can't come back after 4 months. You have to like to like join back. You got to wait a year. So like, huh? Why? Because they don't offer it's cohorts, right? So like, there's like one cohort, and they take all the courses together, right? And then like they only offer the next set of courses.
So do you mean to say that you would have gone back if not for your program's requirements?
I probably would have came back. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, but like luckily I stayed because the next 8 months were like much more successful. Were successful. So at that time. Yeah, so like we had kind of that falling out, and then I'm like, okay, I'm like a solo founder, which is obviously like not ideal, right? But I had one thing which was like going for me, which was this next conference, which was in October, called Vid Summit. But I also had to like leave because like I can't afford to live in LA by myself, so I went back to like Waterloo, and I joined like the Velocity Incubator. So this is like a continuation. So like this is like the last like Waterloo like program. It's like this incubator program. Yeah. But it's meant for full-time founders. So this is a big incubator in Kitchener. Yeah, all these like full-time founders, they raise, they get money from they got a VC kind of attached to the program or into the incubator. That, right? Yeah, well, like one of their events, so yeah, that's when I came back and I spoke at a couple events, and like I kind of joined the community, which was kind of nice because like if you're working by yourself, like you don't like, it's not fun to work by yourself, right? So like I was there in the incubator, like working in the office, like talking to other people, like connecting with people, like even connected to a lot of like some of the KW's like biggest like founders, like the founder of Fair. Like I met him.
What's Fair?
Fair, the wholesale marketplace. Never heard of it.
I'll check it out.
Yeah, it's a pretty
yeah.
like they're really big company.
Okay.
They're like SF KW based. I don't yeah, so like some pretty like big like people, and like tried to like kind of like get to know the KW like startup ecosystem. But at the same time, I was kind of preparing for this big conference in October called VidSummit. So this is like a lesser known conference, but it's actually way better than VidCon. Basically, this conference is like only YouTubers are allowed. No fans are allowed to go. And I was lucky because like that relationship, like my co-founder's like relationship to this like YouTuber team, like Jordan Matter, I kind of continued, like we kind of built that relationship over time. So like I was able to leverage them and like they were there and stuff. And like I was able to get into the conference, right? And this, I flew back to LA for this conference. It was in LA. And basically I was super prepared because like I knew all the attendees coming to this conference. And there's a big list of them, right? So I like went through every single person's like LinkedIn to see, is this somebody like I want to connect with, right? And I kind of like was working on like I wasn't like really working on anything crazy. I was just like trying to like figure out like what idea to like work on next, right? But I kind of had like a list of like different concepts that I could kind of go about talking to people about. And there's like one person that kind of like was at the top of my list was this like other creator manager that, again, one of my colleagues from Tradable Bits, he knew this guy, and I knew that going in. So I had this like kind of hit list of people I wanted to talk to. And also I kind of themed myself more as like a creator manager, because instead of like being like a founder, I want to be like more in the crowd. Yeah. So I knew like somebody from my like high school or somebody from like, you know, like my childhood is a YouTuber currently. His name's like No Life Jeff. And I became like his like creator like his manager. So I can, you know, fit in that role of you're really part of the community. I'm part of the community, right? So I'm like now a manager.
It's been your dream since you were a kid.
Exactly.
To be a creator manager, right?
So I was like his manager, but then I'm like, so my story now, instead of I'm a founder, I'm this creator manager, but on the side, I like to do some software stuff. Just on the side, you know, nothing big. But
just a hobby.
Just for fun, you know, shits and giggles. And
goes to university for.
But that was actually that worked really well.
Okay.
Because when I went to this conference, it's actually crazy. Like this is like a much smaller conference, and only YouTubers were there. Like there was no stupid TikTokers there. They're like with big egos, right? Like there was like people like Carl just walking around, like Carl
like
from
Mr. Beast?
From Mr. Beast. Like I don't know if you know Darman.
Yes, Darman. No,
Darman was there. He just chilling. Zach King just like chilling there. Like these are like fairly big creators, right? Like and they're just literally there, and you can just go talk to anybody, right? But I still had my hit list like in my mind, like who do I want to like talk to, and there most of the people on that list were like more like kind of like business people still. But basically like this conference is crazy. Like I actually learned a lot like from this conference. Like there was like YouTubers kind of like Mr. Beast, Zach King are the people that are on this stage, but the people that are like listening are still fairly big, right? Like they're still like have like, you know, like 1 million in following plus, right? Like some are very, very small, but most are like fairly big, right? And they're just listening, like Colin Smear spoke and stuff, and they're just kind of like walking around, and I don't know, like some crazy like creators are there, and like even I bumped into like Ryan Trahan, and I like,
oh wow,
yeah.
Wait, refresh my memory. It's familiar.
Ryan Trahan, he's like he kind of makes Mr. Beast videos as well.
Okay.
Right?
Kind of like he did like penny challenge.
Yeah, like the $1 stuff.
Okay.
Like $1 to like a.
Yeah.
Yes.
He's like blonde. He like
He's like he's more like he's one of more personality, like everyone loves his personality.
Right.
It's more like vlog and.
Okay.
Yeah.
And there's like we even met like Eric there. I don't know if you guys know Eric. Anyways, you love Eric. Okay.
I always talk about Eric.
Eric's sick.
I love that guy.
So I mean, this is like a crazy like place, but the person, you know, like that Tradable Bits like connection to this like one creator manager was key. So basically, like I was kind of like talking to all these people, and I actually got like a lot of phone numbers. And, like, hey, like I was like at that time, I came down to one idea, and I was like, hey, I'm able to integrate shopping into YouTube. So like you can buy like a product off YouTube. I didn't actually get it fully done or anything, but I thought like I had like a lead on how to do it. So I wanted to make these connections. So when I get it done, I'll like I'll have that at that time. And but also at the same time at this conference, like these like big YouTubers were all kind of also talking about hiring. So they're like, hey, do you know any video editors? Hey, do you know any thumbnail designers? Hey, do you know any like videographers? Right? That was like this like big theme. And I'm like, and then like some like even managers are even coming up to me like, hey, do you like, they literally come and ask me like this, and I'm like just a random person, right? People on stage were asking the audience, if you're a video editor, sign up right here, like talk to me, right? Okay, and these are people taking advantage of their stage time to like, you know, like do this, right? So it's like, okay, like, but why is this a big problem? Like, I feel like video editors are not like super sparse, right? You'd think, but lucky enough, like I had like made this like connection to this like one of this founder like earlier on during LA Tech Week, and so that I used before I left LA, I was at LA Tech Week, and so I met up with him here, and he was like working in the creator space, and he was actually working on this exact problem of like hiring for creators, and he had built this like platform like by himself, but he was not technical. He's like a business guy, but he like built a platform without code, and he had like a huge wait list of like people wanting to use it. He had like already like video editors like using it, and he had like a decent amount of like sales, like a couple like several thousand in sales. So he had a good traction, but he's working on it by himself. And it was at that time like where like I started the relationship like into talks and like, hey, do you want to like be can I be like a technical founder, like your first technical co-founder? So there that was key, right? Like and that was Creator Crew. So that was like the last like venture, right? So that was Creator Crew. So I ended up, you know, joining him. But what was notable is the Mr. Beast story. Basically, so like this at that conference is like all conferences, there's an after party, right?
Of course.
I obviously was not invited to the after party. I was lucky to be at the conference. I could like to even be able to talk to all these kinds of people, right? But but basically, so I talked to this like Tradable Bits like connection. And you know, we just had a casual conversation, and we kind of hit it off because we had that like mutual like friend, right? And kind of the next time like I bumped into him at a conference, he asked me like, "Hey, are you coming to the yacht after party?" And I'm like, "Yeah."
Is this at the LA Tech Week?
No, sorry, this is still at Vid Summit.
Okay.
And I'm like, no, because I don't have the wristbands, right? And he's like, hey, do you want to come? I'm like, yeah, obviously. So he's like, yeah, let me see what I can do. Like, let me like talk to some people, right? So like he like gets my number and stuff, and he like, you know, like he's like, I guess he like texts like somebody like the owner of the yacht, and then he's like, hey, can I like add somebody to my list, right? But then the owner texts back, he says, yeah, sorry, we're full, right? And then he tells me that. I'm like, okay, yeah, no worries, don't worry about it. But he's like, let me try like one more thing, and I think like he pushes for them to like kick off one of their employees or something.
No way for you.
Yeah,
wow.
something like that. Like I like, and I literally like he's like, yeah, you're in. I'm like,
yo, he just needs that connection from
dude,
you.
Wow.
You
You must have really hit it off.
yeah, I don't know, like he vouched for me, and I'm like, yeah, like
He just knew you were next up.
So like basically the after party was in this like marina, right? And he's like, yeah, you gotta come here at this time, and like basically he was like already there, right? And he kind of brings me in, like he gives me all the bracelets, and he's like brings me onto the yacht. And I'm like probably one of the like the first people on this yacht.
First time on a yacht?
First time on a yacht, right?
Was it like a super yacht?
It wasn't a super. It was actually regular sized yacht.
Oh, okay.
I don't. Yeah, obviously not super. Yeah, I think the billionaires like own super sized yachts, but it's just a regular yacht with lots of different levels and stuff. And basically, the way I describe it, it's kind of like Vegas on a yacht. There's like always like poker tables and stuff. So like I just kind of explore the yacht a bit at the beginning, right? I go like all the way to the top floor, and then I come back to like the first floor, and then guess who I see like walking in to the yacht? Mr. Beast, right? Jimmy himself. And he's like to give like a reference, so like I'm like on the last step of this like staircase, right? Like for these different levels of the yacht, and he's on the like coming in on the first floor, right? And he's kind of walking towards. He's like to the right of me, and he's like he's like kind of like there, right, to the right of me, and he's walking towards this room, which is like pretty clear it's like a VIP room, because he's like a VIP on the VIP yacht, right? So he can't be like, you know, talking to regular people, right? He's got to have his own little like poker table and playing with his people, right?
The big boy
So
table.
basically, I had like a 10-second interval of time where he's like walking towards his VIP room, like getting on the yacht and walking to the VIP room, where I could like talk to him, right? So like I'm like, okay, I can't miss his opportunity, right? So I'm like, yo, what's up? So like he's walking like this across from me, and I'm like, he's like, yo, pretty good. Continues like walking, and then I'm like trying to think like, what's the like next best thing like I could like tell him, because like I'm like not supposed to be on this yet. Like
how fast is your heart rate going at this point?
I don't know. My mind's going like a million miles an hour here.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, what am I supposed to like talk to him about, right? Like it can't, like I'm not gonna pitch him anything. Like I just gotta like think. Like I could ask for a picture, but like this is not like this is probably one of the only places where Mr. Beast like can like be normal. Like doesn't need like to get like he gets like probably this all, like he's so big that like anywhere he goes everyone's asking.
No
And
fan
he loves
shit.
taking photos with his fans.
I'm sure he does. Yeah.
So he has no time.
But so he's like walking, and I'm like, okay. I remember like watching, like this isn't going through my mind. I remember like watching one of his videos where I saw a Steve Jobs like poster in behind him in one of his like crazy like self-challenge videos.
Right.
So it was like earlier on, right? And I saw a poster, and then I'm like, okay, then that's the best thing I could think of in like the 3 seconds I had to like think of what next I was gonna say. So I was like, yo, Jimmy, are you like a Steve Jobs like fan?
Okay.
Pulled out the what is it? Slumdog Millionaire Connections. You watched the movie, bro? It's like all the way back to your childhood and pulled it back.
This is an important movie scene in the movie, in like a few decades. Like it's literally gonna be like slow motion, like you see the clock ticking.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Like all the memories flooding back, bro.
Just walking through, like.
And then he's like, yeah, I'm a Steve Jobs fan.
Okay.
He's like, like it goes kind of a blur, honestly.
Right.
But he's like, yo, like I don't know, like he's like, how do you know that or something? And I'm like, yo, I remember seeing his video, and he's like, yeah, I read his book, like I love his like philosophy, and I don't know. At that point, I was like, what is going on? And you know, he just. He ended up walking in his VIP room, but I'm like, well, that was crazy, right? So I was basically I had the highest energy level of all time.
Of your life.
Like so much adrenaline.
Gosh.
And I'm like, okay, yeah, I can do anything like tonight. Cause like
my yacht tonight.
So like I like we just started like playing like poker and stuff.
Right.
So like the minimum bet size was the amount I put in. I think it was like $5 or $10 or something. And like I started like actually like, you know, like doing pretty well.
Yeah.
Like
Who are you playing with? Like other
just other like random creators. And then like I actually get like a decent amount of chips somehow. Like I don't know how, but I just get like a bunch of chips. Like I don't even know the dollar amount, because like I never cashed it in. I just started like, so I took them and I started like holding them. And like walking around the yacht,
cradling it like a baby.
Yeah, because like all these guys have like big egos, but look at me, like I got like a lot of chips.
Right.
And I see like all these like creators just like walking around. You guys know Graham Stephan?
Yes.
Yeah, so I saw it.
He
was on the boat, and then he's like there having a conversation with this other random person, and this random the time I was walking past him, he's like, "Hey, I'm not as rich as you, Graham Stephan," but then I'm holding all these chips, so I'm like, "But look at me, I am."
Nice.
So it was pretty funny, and then like funny enough, like while I was holding all these chips, these other YouTubers that were like Jordan like Matters like friends, they were like, hey, like do you want to start like betting for us? So like we just start like I just started betting with their like, you know, money and stuff, and you know, like we didn't really get anywhere. We kind of like lost all of the money basically. But you know, it was a good, you know, bonding experience.
Right.
But it was fun. It was a good experience, and like made like people like, you know, Danny Duncan were like they were just like on this like yacht, and it was pretty crazy like to be there. So I, you know, and also like probably the more important, that was a fun story, but the more important thing was making that like relationship with the other co-founder who was working on the hiring platform there. He wasn't on there yet, but like he was like there, like after that, like I was like had all these like connections with all these like, you know, creator people, more genuine than like, hey, I'm a founder, and like we started working on that hiring like marketplace, yeah, we kind of like used like, so I started building the technical side, still went back to like KW, like Waterloo, and was working out of the incubator for a while. And I brought in like one of my friends who was working on like changing with me, Greg, who's inside.
Oh, he came back.
Yeah, he came back. he got out of he got bored of whatever he's doing, and he wanted to join back into the startup ecosystem.
You're like, let me tell you something.
Have you been on a yacht with me? This is what you missed out on.
Exactly. And he like came back.
Oh, cool assignment. But let me show this photo.
Cool GPA.
cool GPA, but.
Did you meet Mr. Beast?
Exactly. And he was kind of like at that point in both of our lives, we're at the same like mindset of like, let's like try to build like a startup, right? Let's like try to like build this up into like $1 million company, or like let's see how far we can grow this, right? Like let's see if we can get into YC, or like, you know, if we can, you know, turn this into something. And me, him, and then like the guy I met in LA, Sam, we started building the business together. He was still in school, but then like I told him to play it safe instead of like dropping a year. I say, hey, just take a co-op term. So the next co-op term, which was like January of like this year, he took a co-op term with us, and like we both moved to back to LA, because like things were finally going like well, and we, instead of going to like the like terrible part of LA, like we were in like a nicer part.
Nice.
And company paid, like our like startup was making enough where we could like pay for everything, like housing and stuff.
Wow, congrats.
So we were in like Culver City, which is like kind of in between like Santa Monica, and like it was like, kind of in like the kind of action.
I have memorized the map of LA. I know exactly what
Yeah?
you're talking about. I study it.
It's like it was a really like nice spot in LA. So like it was good, and like the business was going like a lot better, right?
Okay.
And we were all like working in person and stuff. And like we got like I think like a couple like 100 or like 100 or so like, you know, video editors, like creators, like using the platform. And like people were like, you know, like making transactions. Like I kind of built out an entire hiring platform, which included like payments, e-contracts, right? So basically to allow like a creator to hire anyone off our platform.
Right.
Similar to like Upwork, but like basically what the unique thing about the platform was we only took the best like video editors. Like we had like an application process. So we wanted people like that worked with other YouTubers to like be on the platform. Like we don't want just some rando like guy.
Like no freelancers just saying that they've done like hours of video editing.
Exactly.
Yeah, and no like Indian centers of like 100 video editors, just like a in front of a PC. Yeah.
Exactly.
Right.
So
fronting as like one guy in Fiverr.
So like we thought like, you know, like having like the top people would obviously like be attractive to like other creators, right? So they basically, what was also interesting is we built portfolios so that people can showcase like their videos, right?
Okay.
And like who they worked with. Hey, like this is a video I did. Like I worked with Ryan Trahan, and this is like the edits I did, right? And the video editors are like more people you can like work with a bit more easily, and thumbnail designers, because like they have less of an ego. Yeah. So like it's easier to get. Like we got like so many of them like using our platform, like giving us like critique and stuff, and like I built out like a whole infrastructure like around it, and like basically kind of built a copy of like a smaller version of like any hiring platform.
Okay.
And like we kind of grinded on doing that, and like we had a lot of like our tech was good, and but like the problem was there was this other company that kind of came in, and like, you know, our growth was like this, right? It was like pretty stable growth. We'd like, you know, we had like $20,000 worth of transactions like going through like one of our good weeks, and you know, so like we're kind of growing. But then the problem was there's other like, when there's a good idea, other people catch on, right? Yeah. So like I said, there's like 10 other like we were kind of one of the first in the hiring space, right? But there's other companies that kind of come in, right? And one company kind of had the biggest advantage, and there's a big reason why they had an advantage was they're kind of like had this network of creators. So they're this like basically this creator evangelist, right? They're like an creator consultant company. Okay. And he started this company called YT Jobs, which was like a different model to us, where it's like more like like people can post their jobs and stuff, and then they have also a bunch of like creators on the platform. And he was able to leverage his big community of creators, because the guy's like a consulting company, but he worked with like Mr. Beast, right?
Right.
So he worked with the biggest guy in the game, right?
Yeah.
So he used that, and he has all these other clients that are like not as big as Mr. Beast, but like they're very big, right? So he's this huge like persona about him. Like his name is like Patty Galloway, and like he like the key to like the creator economy and the key to a lot of business. Like now, like one of the fundamental rules I'd say like in building a strong startup business is distribution, right?
Yeah.
Like the distribution wins the game, right? And like if you're like a college kid, you're stuck to like cold calls, cold emails, right?
Yeah.
Right.
You don't actually have industry experience. This guy spent a lot of time in the creator space, right? So immediately he's got
Yeah.
like
Yeah,
hundreds of
course he can
people.
compete. He's probably like 35 or something. Like.
No, he's yeah.
Yeah.
He did well, and
How old was he?
huh?
How old was he?
I think he's like 30. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Like
But nonetheless, so much more experience.
So much more
more
experience.
time.
and so
Just got the email list.
immediately he gets so many people using this platform, right? He's on Twitter as well, so he's got a big like Twitter network. He's like constantly talking about the platform on Twitter, and like like we just couldn't compete against him. So like we were just like looking for like a way like we could like we put in a lot of hard work into like building the platform we built.
Yeah, you wanna
right?
exit.
We want to do some kind of exit, so like we ended up like we made a lot of like connections like like on the boat and like from all those experiences to all these different like creator like agencies.
Right.
We were just kind of like, okay, either we need to exit or like, hey, we need to partner with like one of these agencies because like they have a big roster of creators.
Okay.
Right? And we were thinking, hey, like an agency would be incentivized to bring us in because they have a big network of creators, and then this could be an incentive for a new creator to join into their agency because their agency could offer like hiring as a thing, right? So that's like, hey, like if you want video editors, come to our agency, right? So kind of, and we ended up like that was, and we're like this could be a good partnership, but it ended up being more of a like we're just like, hey, like they're like kind of more interested in just buying out the platform,
Okay.
and like the video like all the
Why
users.
was that? Like, was that they just didn't want to like?
Well,
focus on
we were
people?
also kind of that was more on our mind too. Like they kind of like it was more like it was more of like a series of steps. Like it didn't all happen at once, right?
Yeah.
We it just kind of like talks increased, and like we
Right.
just had more conversations, and it kind of like led to like, hey, like
Right.
would you guys be open to like us just like buying the platform off you guys? And I mean we were at that point we were like really just wanted to exit.
Yeah.
And we were kind of like we spent so long like working on all these different ideas that like we want to like clean slate, right? Like can we like like work on something else, or could we like like figure out what's next, right? Because like like being in like the creator economy, it's like so much like statuses and so much like it's a lot of like a lot of like
a lot of
silly games, right? Working with all these kind of people that you don't really want to work with, and like it's like either like like it's like what are we gonna take our chances to see if we can beat this guy which has unlimited like distribution, or are we gonna like exit? So we're like, okay, we'll take the exit. So we ended up like that was like March of this year, like we kind of like spent like a good couple months like transferring the code base and like doing transferring the users and all that, right? And then we're like that's it, and we kind of like were able to stop working on that. They fully took control of the platform, and they kind of rebranded it like as well. Like it's not called Creator Crew anymore.
What's like Outro or whatever?
I call it like Arcove.
Arcove.
But I don't even think they've like launched it yet.
But yeah. I looked it up and I didn't see anything.
Yeah, so like I get like maybe it's something they use like internally, or like like cause that's a possibility, right? They don't have to.
Kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
But I also feel like low key it's a waste of.
Yeah.
That was the whole point was to have it on a platform.
But like funny enough though, like after that happened, like we saw like 5 other like or like 10 other like people trying to do the exact same thing.
Right.
So it's just getting like more
I
popular.
met a guy 4 days ago who was doing the exact same thing.
Okay, yeah, exactly.
That's insane.
So when someone sees an opportunity, like that guy's like a late bloomer, but like like there's all like everyone kind of surges to it, right? Like when Linktree started, everyone just came and copied Linktree. Like how hard is it to like make Linktree? Not that hard.
Once you find the idea, it's a lot easier to execute it because someone's already built the model.
Yeah, exactly.
They've also validated it, more importantly.
Yeah.
But the funny thing is, like now the creator space, like all these copycats are kind of like they're losing. They all lost so much money. Like they all lose. Like even they get like fundraising, since they all copy each other, not all of them can win.
Yeah.
So that
Race to zero.
it's like race to zero basically. Like they're all trying to offer this free platform, not monetize it so they can get like users and. But like a lot of it doesn't work. Creator economy is just too saturated. It's just too saturated.
Okay.
But it funny enough, I still am working on stuff in the creator economy.
Okay.
But took a lot of the lessons from like the previous businesses to do everything like proper. You know?
Okay.
Where at the new co-op?
No, for my new like kind of like
Okay.
venture.
Oh,
Alright.
starting
Yeah.
anew.
All right.
Yeah.
Phew,
So
man.
what? So
We
what
just
do
took a
you
deep
want to do
breath
now?
That was
step?
that was a wild ride.
Yeah.
Like yeah, man, that's a
But
wild
that's
ride.
like that's insane,
So-
man. And you're now going back into your third year.
Yeah. So I
Okay.
went back to school because I was like, let's just like chill for a sec and
Yo, just take me through like the off ramp here, cause that sounds like you could have taken like a 1,000,000-year vacation after that.
what?
After that whole journey, like up to
Oh.
March.
Oh,
and then
yeah,
after
yeah,
you
yeah.
transfer the code base. So you move back to Ottawa, I'm guessing.
Yeah, exactly. There's no point of being
Okay.
in LA anymore.
Okay. How are you feeling at this point?
It was like you know, like when people like exit, you think there's like it was a good excitement for like a couple of days, but then it's like, so what happened exactly? And you like you get more into like a reflective phase, like so was all the effort like worth
Yeah,
it? Was
yeah,
it like because like for startup stuff, I was like a really like big like grinder. So like my like motivations were like just trying to grind like 24/7, right? So a lot of
Right.
other things you start like lacking on, like fitness or like relationships and
Yeah.
like if you're like
Yeah.
fully like passionate about like one thing, you have to like kind of realize like what like you lose a lot of other things, right? And also you got to like kind of question like why are you passionate about it? What are you actually passionate about, right? Are you passionate about like building a business for the sake of building a business, or are you actually like passionate about like solving a real like problem that you care about, right? So like none of like but what we found was like we weren't even that passionate about hiring in the first place. We just saw it like as an opportunity to like to build in, right? And like I think like the best like founders are usually like more passionate about the problem. Like they're actually like either they had the problem or a personal like family member or friend, like someone that are close to them had this like certain problem which they can kind of get around. And that's like what I like, that's what, you know, that's, I think those are like the best like founders, like who are
Right.
personally like driven to like
And
solving
I think it's a common experience for people who want to be entrepreneurs to go through the journey of ideas,
Yeah, exactly.
ideas, and then like at some point when you have, you know, some kind of relative success, to realize that, okay, I need to take a more mindful approach to this.
Yeah.
What's like your process in summer and then, you know, maybe September, October, from like just like, I don't know, like how long did you sleep in the first day that you pulled up to Ottawa till like then, I don't know, like thinking about how you want to approach this next going forward
Like after like the
after
exit?
you come back to Ottawa.
right.
Yeah.
Like what was like my reflective process?
Yeah. And what are like
The keys.
like personally, like, yeah, like what are some key points you're taking away for yourself?
Right.
And what kind of like specific experiences are you thinking about from your past?
Right. So like I think like some like super important things that are so one is like co-founders is like one of the like that was the reason one of the reasons the first business like failed, right? It's like that's like probably one of the biggest reasons like startups fail is a bad like co-founder like relationship. So like a lot of like co-founders like take like therapy and stuff, right? Like to like because like basically
Couples therapy.
yeah, like basically because like you're spending so much time with your co-founder, so you have to like really like either like for a good co-founder, I think in my opinion, you have to like either have like a super like close like relationship with where you like really trust each other to like the next level, right? You can't, or it's like pure business, right? It's like it's not in the middle. It's you have to have
Okay.
full trust, like a full trust in either person, right? So like Greg, this person that I brought in, I knew him since like grade 4, right?
Right.
So like over
Right.
like the last decade, we've had like done projects and stuff together, right? So we've kind of like understand each other, understand like our strengths, our weaknesses, and then we know how we work with each other, right?
Right.
Versus like, you know, somebody you kind of like briefly like meet in university, like it doesn't like work as well, right?
Yeah.
Like unless like you
Co-founder,
can get lucky
matchmaker.
maybe, but like most of the time it doesn't work, right? Because you don't have
Right.
that trust that they can do their stuff and you can do your stuff, and that's like the most important stuff. Like they're good at what they're doing, and you know you're good at what you're doing, right? So that's like a huge thing, huge takeaway. It's like you can't just work with anyone to pull this off, right? And you know, like people might say, "Hey, oh, your idea wasn't very good," but the thing is like if you have a good co-founder, you can bounce, you can like keep on going, right?
Yeah.
You can find other problems to solve, right? So that's a key thing. The second key thing is like, how do you like win? Like the key fundamental to winning in the startup ecosystem is the distribution, right? So like as college kids, we're the lowest. Like we don't know anybody really. Like we're lucky. Like or like at Waterloo, you could like work at certain companies and stuff, but like you don't actually like have a good understanding of the problems out there, right?
Yes.
So like we have very limited experience. Like maybe we have experience in the housing, understand the housing issues if you're looking for a housing, right?
Yeah.
But everyone knows about housing problems. Like there's probably a million startups trying to solve housing
By
issues.
students, for students.
Yeah, exactly. or even like education, right? Like hey, like we all went to school, right? But there's millions of other people that go to school, right? So what are the chances that you found a problem that another person has already solved, right?
Pretty
Yeah.
low.
So education, housing, and these are the places like we're like the most like familiar with, right? Those are those we don't have any advantage of like actually solving a problem in, right?
Yeah.
So that's why I was like university kids like like you can try to solve something, but like the likelihood that you'll succeed because your distribution is so low, it's a lot harder, right? So for me, key distribution is key. So having someone on the team that truly understands like the ecosystem and has a network of people, and I can tell you about what I'm working on now and how I'm using those fundamentals. But like,
Okay.
yeah, that's like number 2 is like solving a real problem, and then 3 having someone on your team that has that distribution, and those two kind of come together when you have someone who on your team, like your co-founder, hopefully your co-founder or like a partner on the team that truly understands the space and is invested in that space. They're usually the ones that come up with a real problem, right? If they personally experience the problem, that's a big thing, right? I think like the best like kind of relationships is where there's the CEO. He's got the industry experience, right? Like in a specific industry, like real estate, for example, or like creator space, right? And he's got this distribution, this network of people that he can immediately get the product to, right? And then 2 is is a CTO, or he's a tech. Or like they don't need to have these titles, but more the technical guy who like understands the tech end to end, and he can code whatever like problem like this guy's solved. And the CEO could have spent like a couple of years working in this like construction space, for example, and found a problem. That's cool. Like stuff like something you gotta have like a unique experience to know to solve a real problem, right? Yeah.
Okay. By the way, I really want to ask you about what attracts you to keep going in the content creator space, and then how you're applying your fundamentals to your new projects. But it's 6:40.
Oh, okay.
So are you cool that we keep going?
Yeah.
Okay. If at any time you need to like stand up, walk up, then please let us know. I want to be respectful of your time.
At 6:40, what time do we start?
5.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
We usually go on for like up to like 2-3 hours. So
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. What is making you stay in the content creator space?
So like after like we built that startup, so I kind of reflected on these like important fundamentals, and funny enough, like Jordan Matter, right, and his like that connection that we made, like the person on his team, who's basically like I consider his like right hand man, because there's usually like a guy who kind of runs like the logistics and operations of the creator economy, and then usually is the face, right? And I consider him like kind of the guy kind of
Of the creator.
right? So basically like earlier on, like in September, October, he came up to me and he's like, hey, can you build this small tool for us? And I'm like, yeah, I'll do it at some point, right? But I remember thinking of his tool after all that. I'm like, hey, maybe like the key thing is working with somebody who's in the space who's got the network, right? So working with Jordan Matter is like one of the most important fundamentals to building a successful, venture, right? So it's best if he came up with the problem himself, or he and his team like came up with the problem themselves. And basically what the problem that he was telling me about is, so creators, they have this like kind of like fixation on like X out of 10 ranking, right? So you have like your videos, right? like on your creator analytics dashboard, right? And you have your like 9, like let's say you post a video and it's like 1 hour in, right? Usually it's a ranking out of 1 out of 10, like compared to other videos, how's your video doing, right? So like it could be 1 out of 10, 9 out of 10, 4 out of 10. Everyone's aiming for a 1 out of 10, right? That's a very common term between creators, right? They're trying to compare how is this video doing compared to my previous videos, right? And usually if it's like a 1 out of 10, it's probably gonna stick around there. It might be a 2 out of 10 after like a couple of days, or maybe stay at 1 out of 10, right? But everyone's looking for that 1 out of 10 video, right? And the kind of like what we learned about the creator economy is most of the ideas are not original. Even Mr. Beast, who you think is the most original guy ever, the way they come up with their ideas, and from what I've heard, is Mr. Beast comes with 3 things. I think he comes with a thumbnail, he comes with a reference video, and then he comes with how are we going to turn this idea into $1 million video, right? Yeah. So basically, he puts a lot of money into a certain video idea and turns it into a big, crazy video, right? Yeah. Because he has the money to do that, right? He doesn't need I'm sure some of them are original, but a lot of his ideas are like that.
Yeah, so it's super basic, and then suddenly it's like super big because he has capital to do so.
Exactly. Like they're all back in the day, like his videos were not as like capital intensive, but now they're like very capital intensive.
He just went to the extreme because like he could do that.
Yeah, exactly. So that's a key fundamental, is like creators are like just jumping on trends, right? Jumping on like a really good video, right? And basically we want to dive into like the ideation process of creators. And what he says is, can you build this like ranking tool? Not for me internally, because they have that on YouTube Analytics, but can I see a ranking for other creators, like other trendy creators, right? Ooh, yeah. So like how do I know like this guy's video is doing well? Because let's say like this guy just released a video 1 hour ago, right? How do you know how well that video is doing? Like his previous videos are now at if you go to YouTube, or at the 7-day mark or 14-day mark, right? So you can't compare a video at a 1 hour mark to a 7-day mark, because you don't know other videos at what they were at the 1 hour mark, for example, right? So it's very simple, right? It's like, how do you build this like platform? But you can kind of branch off of that. It's like, basically we built a platform called Rewind that's able to keep track of like trends, and like can kind of like sense like, hey, this is going to be a 1 out of 10 video. So
that's a cool name, by the way.
Thank you.
Rewind. Good reference.
And funny enough, like we knew like Mr. Beast just got like 3 like top like videos, like I think like best YouTube video, music besides the music video, like best like fastest growing video in 24 hours. I think that's what he won like 3 times in a row. He beat his previous video, and we saw that through our tracker. Like we saw this is gonna win, like because like we're tracking this data, right? And so like. And like it's not actually that easy to have this data. Basically, like we have to build this like software system, because YouTube doesn't store historical data, or at least they don't publicly say they store historical data. Like for example, like if you go to a YouTube video right now, you know at its current time frame what the view count is or the engagement is, right? Yeah. But you don't know like at any other point, right? And you can't even ask YouTube, even if you're like have a developer account, nobody can ask them, hey, what was it like 7 days ago?
So I can see that in my own dashboard, but not for others.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. So they must store it somewhere, but they're not going to send it to anybody, right?
Why would they send everybody's data to somebody?
Exactly.
Right.
So we have to like build our own system to like kind of be like storing this data. So like I think we have like millions of like data points at this point or something in our database of all these like all this engagement from like probably 500 of the most like trendy YouTubers, and
so you cherry pick a couple of YouTubers and just track their videos from a certain point.
Exactly. Okay. Oh, from the point
from a playlist, correct?
Playlist?
Is if you handpick YouTubers, or it's from like the top whatever YouTube videos?
No, just YouTubers, specific channels.
Okay.
So there's certain channels that are like more trendy than others, and there's some that copy others, right? Yeah. I mean, sometimes they're kind of mixed together. So even the ones that copy are still good. Like for example, like Brent Rivera, he's very notable of copying everyone's videos. Like everyone knows this. Like he literally just copies everyone. But like these guys are like trying to figure out what is that 1 out of 10 video, right? So let's say even if they come up with an idea internally, they can use our platform and they can search up, let's say they want to figure out if the penny challenge, which is very obvious, it's a good trending video, but they can see like, hey, this penny challenge video was a 1 out of 10, right? Which is important, right? If they look at it, if it's a 9 out of 10, they're like, that's a no go, because like most YouTubers that posted a penny challenge as a 9 out of 10, that's not a good video. So like they use our platform to like analyze all these different creators, and funny enough, like there are other like analytics tools out there, like but they're not actually tracking the same data we're tracking or showing it in the way we're showing it. And the only reason we know about this problem was because of that like relationship with this YouTuber, and we split the business basically 50-50 with them. Because like people think, oh, developers are definitely not the most important part of this. It's distribution is key, right? So like he's been basically using our platform every single day. So like we know like it's like,
and this is good equity because you got the 50%. Like that's pretty great.
Exactly. And he got all his like kind of like closer friends using the platform. So so the key thing is like what are the three key things? Is one, I'm working with Greg, who's like, you know, a close like co-founder friend. Two, it's a real problem, right? And even though personally I don't care that much about the creator economy, but we have our business partner who cares a lot about the creator.
Solving somebody else's problem.
Yeah. And three, he's a huge distribution. So the thing with the creator economy, like, is basically if you know one person, you know everyone, because like they all hang out with each other, right? They go to the same events, they go to the same parties, right? And they can all just like they basically share insights, right? And they'll say, hey, like you should use this tool we built, right? And it's really easy, right? But if I email anybody big, they're gonna ignore that email. I'm going right to spam, right? But if Jordan's like, hey, like you want to use this, right? And it works really well, right? And the good thing is also they got a close relationship with YouTube, right? So we can leverage that as well, you know. If we need,
over time.
They're
gonna start studying.
Maybe,
That's interesting. That's really interesting how you outline. I really like how you outline the importance of distribution. This is something that Andrew and I talked about at the beginning of the year. Actually, something we like I had like 3 goals that I wanted to focus all my planning towards, and it was credibility, capital. Oh, sorry, Andrew. Yeah, it was credibility, capital, and network. Credibility being just like confidence in just my actual skills. Network, obviously, the distribution, and then, I mean, capital speaks for itself. Yeah. But what I was so fascinated about and what I was thinking about your story on Friday, and then now even more so as we continue talking, is how actually the plan has played out. And that's something I've been trying to figure out for myself. And it's really interesting that you said that what basically you outlined is that you dove into basically blindly into an industry just because you had like some connections. And on a whim, you were able to get incredibly serendipitous experiences as well. And you built up a network, and then you were able to get into contact with the partners that you have right now. Who actually have the interesting problems to solve.
Exactly.
And for me, I was wondering on what I was focusing on, if that's something that I actually want to be doing. And so right now, like I'm still doing school, and I'm still doing computer science at U Ottawa, but I'm more compelled to do things that are entrepreneurial focused. I'm more interested in doing things that try to build my network, but I'm not getting any of that, especially in Ottawa. So, so do you think that it is like, do you think that it is the play to jump into something that you think is kind of cool blindly, hoping that you'll find an opportunity eventually, and then build off the network there? Or how do you think it would be the best way to sort of break in? Because now you have momentum. And that's what I need.
Well, yeah, that's the hardest way to do it for sure. Well, one of the harder ways to do it.
Really, you think so?
Is to just like randomly go into an industry, but you learn a lot, right? Like from the experiences, and I think like that's like probably if someone wanted to start like a business in university, that's one of the only ways they can like go about doing it, right? Unless they have like some crazy connection. It's all about like if you know somebody personally, or a good parent, or your like uncle or something that owns like a business in a cool space, like it could be just the most random space, right? And that's like how I'd go about it. Like it's like, could I build a network of people, which not like maybe one good thing is like, you know, building a network of potential co-founders, right? which is basically building a relationship. It's not like, hey, like you're not thinking about entrepreneurship as you're doing it, but you're just kind of like, hey, is this somebody I can trust, right?
Yeah.
And that's what university is good for, I think. It's just, like talking to people and, meeting these people in these different industries and, how they all different interests, right? But then the thing about like the industry side is like the most likelihood chance of like success is like having someone in an industry like high up or somewhere in an industry that they have a unique kind of point where they understand a problem that you don't, right?
Yeah.
Like this like creator I'm working with, he doesn't understand the problem that I would never guess in a second, right? Like I could never guess like in my lifetime like that's
But
a problem.
Of course, because he's actually in it.
Exactly. So if you know people in a certain like ecosystem, like an owner of a business, right? That's usually pretty useful, I think.
Yeah.
But also in terms of after university, I think like it's cool like to have industry experience in just random like spaces, right? Like in the construction industry or like steel industry, for example, just a random industry, right? Where tech is not as like innovative. Like people are kind of like just doing their job, right? Yeah. Not a lot of people in an industry really think twice about processes. But if you're going in with the mindset of maybe of like, hey, can I like change something in this industry? Can I innovate? You have that like already have that network because you're working in the industry to like branch off of that, right?
Absolutely.
Yes. So that could be done through co-ops in university, or that can be done after university.
That's why I've been so interested in trying to get into like the private sector.
Yeah.
And, like, I don't know, like that's something I've been trying to like figure out how to break into myself. But I mean, I guess I'm assuming Waterloo's co-op program hooked you up pretty nicely for that.
Yeah, I mean, I got lucky with the companies I worked at, right?
Yeah.
Like, it was lucky enough that the companies were like not corporate enough, that like it just really just focused on the job or the intern, like a full intern experience, where you can literally talk to anybody at the company who has different experiences, who works in different industries.
Like startups.
Yeah, So then it's nice, right?
Okay.
But
do you think that's better? Like, do you think that's a better play than going to like a larger corporate job?
Well, I think like larger, like it depends on like your interest, right? I think like it's really easy to learn from like if you're like an employee at a startup, especially if it's like a startup that like you think the founders are like like good people, right? Yeah. They're like working on a problem they care about, so I think like, but if you're like looking for more like you don't make as much money at a startup, I don't think. Yeah. So if you're looking more like to gain capital and
there's
like
no way we're getting equity.
as a co-op student, then a lot that's why a lot of people at Waterloo like go more for the bigger companies because they want to like have either a brand name on their resume, right? Or and that also works sometimes to get in the startup space. Like you often see like VCs. The VC space is I guess we haven't even talked about that, but they often like just invest in like ex Facebook, ex Stanford dropout like graduates, or not. I guess they're not graduates, but like founders. And
that's your favorite one probably.
Stanford dropouts, right? Yeah. And then they just invest into them, and that sometimes works, right? So it depends on the angle, but I think like solving like real like if you want to solve like a real problem. I think it's like nice to like work at a startup that is actually solving a real problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where do you you mentioned earlier talking about upon your reflection, focusing on things that like you actually care about.
Yeah.
And well, I heard this in about like Michael Seibel speaking about it like in a Y Combinator video where he said he didn't really look for purpose and like he was just doing Twitch and he started loving it because it was actually working. How do you feel about actually finding purpose? Because I've been really headset on doing things that I'm actually absolutely interested in.
Yeah.
But I do see a lot of success in people who would just sort of not throw themselves, but they have a skill set for developing and they just help people with those problems and they're not necessarily passionate, as you said as well, about like creator things. Not to say you don't know anything about it. It's just that, like if you had like $1 billion already, you wouldn't be working on it.
Yeah.
So what do you think about meaning in terms of early on in your career?
Like I think so like I guess like the point more was being like he kind of just dived into like an industry and then he kind of like he didn't like it at first, but then he kind of like slowly like found himself like enjoying it. I think like I think I've seen him like talk about this kind of stuff before, where it's like, I think it's true. Like a lot of people go into like the creator economy because it's like fun, right? It's like popping, right? And there's like a lot of cool people, but in the end, like, what are you like really doing? You're selling, you're coding, right? You're doing all the same stuff. Whether you're like working in the construction industry or working with like, I don't know, you're doing all the same stuff in the end. 99% of the time, you're not meeting creators, right?
Yeah.
You're just like you're
Yeah.
just doing the
You're all
business
auxiliary
stuff,
people.
right? So like I guess in the end, it's like all the same kind of stuff. And I guess maybe the point he's making is like if it's a more boring like industry, less people are in the industry, right? Like there's industries like fintech, right? Like creator economy. Everyone loves these ideas, right? Or
Yeah.
education, right? These are like everyone love these industries, right? Because like everyone like it's a, but like for example, like the steel industry, like no one knows anything. No one's innovating the steel industry, but does not make it a bad industry to
Yeah.
innovate. And maybe you're not passionate about the steel industry.
But there could be
there
a
could be
lot
a
of
cash flows are
lot-
still heavier.
Yeah.
Oh,
So-
absolutely, definitely.
So-
Often probably heavier than like most like regular startup stuff.
Exactly.
Is this a perspective that you came to over time, or have you always been kind of this mindset? When you were younger, did you particularly care about any industry?
No, not really.
You-
Yeah.
you just worked with your means.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like what you said earlier. You like just wanted to do something that was hard.
Yeah.
And like, do you think that was like a driver for most of the things that you're doing?
Yeah, probably.
Was it to like prove to yourself that you could do it, or just
Yeah.
to see? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like, I think like, I mean, like, obviously, like, I feel like we all like read a lot of like entrepreneurial books and,
Yeah.
you know, learn about the challenges people face. So like, what's like the hardest thing like, I think one of the most hardest things you could do in life is to like build a successful business. So
Yeah.
why not try as early as possible?
Yeah.
See if you can make it work.
Okay.
Yeah.
Respect.
What industries do you think you'll be working on in the future? Like, what's post undergrad looking like?
Well, like actually, like there's a startup like I'm working for during this co-op. Like I'm on co-op, back on co-op, the school co-op grind, right?
Okay.
It's in like the veterinarian like space. A veterinarian, basically, they like document. So like a lot of veterinarians, right? They spend 10 years in school, for example, right? And then give or take, right? And then they basically veterinarians are not paid as much as doctors, but like they're helping like dogs, cats, and I feel like they play a very, very important role in society, which is like these people are like really important. But what the problem is and what these founders, the startup I'm working with, found is that the founder noticed that his sister came home like late every single day, like late in the evening, right? And basically what she was doing is every single appointment needs to be legally like documented for good reason, right? Like you want to this dog has came in with these like problems. We are gonna like do all these tests on him, and we're gonna prescribe this, for example, right? For a particular appointment, but they got to write all this stuff down, right? In a very specific format called SOAP, but it's just a particular format they got to document everything in. And they spend like 2-3 hours every single day doing this, right?
Yeah.
Which really like sucks.
Yeah, it's a waste of time.
Waste of time. And like I actually like look up to like doctors and veterinarians and people in the space because like there's some that, like I said, play a very important part in society, one of the most important jobs. And they shouldn't be putting like extra work on top of all the education they spent. Yeah. So basically what this company, these founders did, and now it's a company, but is they built this AI which like listens to the appointment, and it like is able to automatically like document everything in the very specific SOAP format. So like if you're doing random chit chatter about your day, like it doesn't obviously put that in the document, right?
Okay.
It's not just like an AI note taker. There's a lot of those. It's a medical like AI like document.
Like distinguish things.
Yeah.
Splice them. Interesting.
And they seeing like the good thing about the startup is they're very open, right? So like they show that they're doing literal hockey stick growth. Their week over week's like 20%, which is YC looks for 7%. They're at 20% week over week. They were hustlers for 3 years in this space. Then like all this AI stuff came out, right?
Wow.
And they went like this, right? Like they went
Were they
literally
working on the AI before the like transformer boom and stuff?
Yeah, exactly. They were manually doing this note taker stuff.
Oh shit.
So like they'd like get notes from their clients, right? or voice recordings from their clients, right? And then they themselves be the one that
wow, they were
Okay.
hustling.
they literal hustlers, and this is their revenue. They graduated university like revenue like this, right? And then
Wow.
and then like and that like and then I saw like I met them because I was at Velocity, right? And I like as soon as I met them, I'm like, these are like the key founders, right? Like these are like people, number one, that care about the problem they're solving, right? Which is super important, and so they're the ones that care about it, and
Yeah.
then two, they got huge distribution because their the founder's sister has a veterinary network, right? And yeah, I mean like, and their co-founder relationship is really good, right? So the three key things I look for is what they're doing, and they're doing all the steps right. And I don't know, their growth is incredible. So basically, to answer the question, it's like working for building a business, which is like something like that. It's like a problem that you truly care about, or you have like a family member who like, you know, is dealing with these problems, and you can like spend 3 years like in like doing revenue like this, and still care about what you're working on, right? Like they only saw this growth just this year, right?
Wow.
So like they watched basically all their friends like work these like incredible high paying jobs in like California, right? And they're making no money and they're living in their parents' basement. Imagine that. But imagine how much like motivation and passion you have to have to like keep on going. So those guys are incredible.
Which is like the dilemma of the entrepreneur. That's like the most common thing always happening. You know, they see all these status games being played, and then suddenly it just has to work once.
Yeah.
And it works really, really well. Damn. What company is this called?
It's called ScribeNote.
ScribeNote.
So I think like a lot of they're using like they're not the ones that jumped on the AI trend. You know how like a lot of companies that jumped on the AI trend, like their startups are all AI related. They were grinding way before AI, and then the AI helped, you know, facilitate their business.
Yeah. Like they're not just a GPT wrapper. They're just like, oh, this will help a lot.
Exactly.
For our already existing problem.
Exactly.
Which is powerful.
It's just like incredible watching like real founders like in action, and that's kind of like so like my like the partner I'm working on with Rewind, like both of us kind of have the same intentions. Like, can we eventually find a problem that we truly care about? To that level that they cared about, and could we like build it into like, you know, because I swear like these guys at like they just hired like 5 people, like they were 2 people, right? And they're growing at such a crazy rate. I swear this is going to be like a next like $100 million company.
You think so?
Like, yeah, 100%. Like I just like can tell like how just based on their growth rate, based on who they are as people, the way they're like organizing their company, the way they built their product, focusing on the like most important things, right? And just like I wouldn't be surprised like by the time I graduate, like basically they're in talks. I can't say too much about what they're in talks are, but like they're like based on what I know, they're gonna like any
20%
second, week
per
over
week
is
well enough.
Is
to
it
be said.
about the founders themselves though? It's qualities of them that make them incredibly.
They
good
care
at
about
it.
the problem, then they have the distribution, and the co-founders are tight.
That's it. Like there's like.
I mean, for sure. Like a lot of like founders are also obsessed with VC funding, right? And like statuses, right?
Yeah.
And that's what I noticed being in LA. Like even the founders kind of get into that hype. Like, hey, can I become like a Thiel fellow? Or hey, can I be Forbes 30 or 30? Hey, can I get backed by YC? They're looking for all these like status kind of symbols to like, hey, I'm like an entrepreneur. Look up to me, right? And some of them actually get these things, but does it make them any better as entrepreneurs? No, it doesn't, right?
I've seen it the same as like even competing for like, I don't know, like GPA scores, you know what I mean?
Right.
You're just trying to get the flex, and then at the end of the day, like it may or may not tell. It could, but you're also in a super large competition pool. But I always like what I actually really like is when I hear founders talk about like how they like rejected or avoided YC.
Yeah.
Like that, what was it, 30% of equity share of their company?
7% for YC.
Oh, 7%. Yeah. But like there was this other company. I forgot
The
the name.
valuation is it wasn't not appealing to them.
Like they were just like no, they were like so good that they were like, no, I don't want to be a part of YC. And hearing that again for ScribeNote, it's also really good. I think it was like I forget. I think it's like Nobu in Ottawa.
Oh yeah.
Are you familiar?
Yeah.
They did the same thing. I'm pretty sure they're a fintech startup, or now they're a coherent company, but Yeah, no, that's super dope, man. I'd love to meet these founders.
They're crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're like they basically are like now fully focused on the business side, like on sales.
Yeah.
And so like me and I brought my co-founder in because we already work so well. Like so we both are like working at their startup now.
Are you guys like the CTOs?
No, they the good thing is those two are very technical, which is also nice.
Yeah.
They're not just like like hiring like contractors to do anything. They both like grinded on the development. They kind of laid it to like no. There's a couple others like it's not just 4 persons. There's like a 10-person company at this point, but they kind of laid it off to like a couple of us to like kind of like I'm working directly with the AI stuff and getting my hands into that, which is
mostly like LLMs and
yeah, a lot of that. But there's a lot still like more to like like there's a lot to it still to like really understand how it all comes together, like fine tuning and how do you like with LLMs they're really good obviously and they've helped this business grow so much, but like a good example of like where LLMs can go like not as expected is like if you ask an LLM ChatGPT like what's 2 + 2, they could the answer is 4. They could say 4. They can say it is 4, right? Like there's lots of different responses, and you got to take that into account when you're like building a platform around these like LLMs, right? Because they can have like incoherent responses, right? You need to be like somehow tracking how well is a response, right?
Yeah.
From a GPT, right? And it's not like these like LLMs are not factual all the time, right?
Yeah.
So you got to build like observability and like ways to like understand like how well these LLMs are doing. And they didn't do any of that stuff, obviously, because we're good. Like they're focused on making sales and money, but that's where I'm coming in trying to understand this whole ecosystem. It's very new, right? Because like LLMs just like recently became popular, but what about the tools and infrastructure around LLMs that right
absolutely.
to make sure they're doing well?
Absolutely. Are you using like chat OpenAI's?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. I was wondering if you were like in-house building an LLM. That would be super
No,
interesting.
yeah, that's like for a startup. That's like unless that's your goal as a startup to be like the next like LLM, like Cohere, for example.
Yeah,
but there's no point. It's just a waste of time.
Yeah,
really.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, you're working to implement tools around it.
Yeah.
Fine tune it.
Yeah, exactly.
Towards their problem.
Exactly. So
their
have less
solution.
customer support and stuff like that, right?
Damn, this is so interesting, man. And like, I don't know. I just wonder like what's like your end goal with all these things that you're working on? Like, do you just striving to be one of these kind of founders? What are like the kinds of people that you actually like idolize or rather like look up to? Like, what's the ideal kind of like lifestyle you'd be leaving, or like you in 10 years?
Like what founders first do I look up? Like I mean like these guys are perfect examples of founders like I look up to. Like they literally like hustled like for 3 years, no money, like in parents' basement, like they don't see like any result, but they're so passionate about what they're like solving, and they're solving a problem that like it's so easy to care about this problem.
Yeah.
Like
Of course, their family's affected by it.
And it's just like something that's like worth solving, right? Like a lot of companies are just building like B2B SaaS products, right?
Yeah.
It's hard to like want to like be doing that, right?
Yeah.
So I like mission like oriented like startups, and obviously like making money doing that is nice, right? Instead of like I know like so that's a good example. Like I used to like also or still do like look up to like like people like I'm sure you guys like Steve Jobs and these kind of like bigger time like founders, but like you don't like you can like read up about them, but you don't actually like get to know them as much. Like you just know them based on like notes, right? Or like interviews
it's
and
all
stuff
like legends, it's like stories.
So like it's like hard to say like I look up to like the like exactly like this person. Like there's probably aspects around like why like you like certain people like Brian Chesky like Airbnb, like he was obviously like a hustler, right? He did, I would say his story is similar to Scribe Note, where like he spent 3 years in like trying to like build this like marketplace Airbnb with like no traction whatsoever, but he was so passionate about solving this problem that he kept on going, got into YC, right? And became like one of the biggest success stories out of YC, right? So hustler kind of mindset, and like understanding like the intentions, like why you're like hustling, is important to me.
What do you think it'll take for you to find a problem that you really care about?
Oh, wait, what do you mean?
You said that you want you and your co-founder to eventually find a problem that's meaningful to you so that you can lead your own startup.
Yeah.
What do you think it takes? Because I can relate to having a life full of either comfort or apathy to kind of problems that come my way.
Like, as in, like, how do you like find it, or like what do you mean? What it does
Like,
it take?
what do you think? Like, what do you think it'll take for you to find a problem, or is it just something that you have faith will kind of serendipitously like enter your life?
I guess
it's not a great thing to hope for, but
I think like it just like the goal of like work, like I don't know, just like getting involved in like a lot of different like spaces, right? Not being like, okay, like I'm gonna stick in the creator space for. I mean, that can also work, but like I'm not that passionate about the creator space, even though I spent like 2 years in that. So just trying different industries, like learning about different problems, see like what speaks to me, right? Like this one, for example, really spoke to us, right? Like this health space, but also the health space comes with headaches as well, right? Like legal processes and such. So it's just like stuff like this, right? Just trying different opportunities and working with founders that like you can like kind of care about and you know, like that are doing things right helps, I think. That are doing the right things, right?
Oh yeah. Yo, did you have more to add?
No, yeah, I think like I don't have a big rush anymore. Before I used to have like a huge rush. Like by the end of university, I gotta like, you know, have this huge like successful like startup or like I no longer have like a rush because the most common age of founders is not like 20. It's like I think 35 or 40 or something like that, right? And it is a good reason for it, right? Because they spend a lot of time in the industry. They actually understand an industry. They have a distribution in the industry, and they have a friend that or a technical founder, or another founder that they can build stuff with, right? They're also a lot more mature, right? So
they'll make less mistakes.
Right?
They'll be more organized. They probably won't burn out really fast if they messed up a little bit.
Exactly.
Didn't balance their life.
And they have capital too, right?
Oh yeah, a lot more. Bootstrapping is a lot more feasible.
Exactly.
I was gonna sort of go on a different note, because you mentioned that like you spend a lot of time trying to like balance your life. You've done a lot more sports, as you said.
Yeah.
For me lately, I've been having that sort of rush where I feel like I'm behind and I want to catch up and I want to work really hard, and I feel like I'm spreading myself too thin, but like I'm balancing it. Like I'm not burning out by any means. But again, it's like a tightrope, and I'm wondering if I should still be doing stuff like that, because I want to like catch up. I feel because I got into U Ottawa because I wanted to be a doctor initially, and then I was like, oh no, I don't want to be doing this. Right. And then like the whole first year I was just regretting not applying anywhere for computer science. And so ever since then I was just wondering like, damn, like what can I do to catch up? And so I've been working super hard and I've been like barely balancing everything. What do you think it should be like to work towards something you actually care about? Do you think you should be sacrificing a lot of things, or do you think you can have it all?
I think like I mean there's like hustle is like is important. Like for like but I think there's also like a time and place as well. Like you don't like I think like I get burnt out as well, right? Like everyone gets burnt out after a while, right? Of like just like hustling and grinding. I think like it's hard to say like because like now like that's more like what I'm focused on, like balance, right? But like I spend like a lot of time like hustling, and like I learned a lot from doing that, right? So I think it's like I mean I think like you gotta just like take advantage of what like university like provides, right? So I would say like more balanced lifestyle in my opinion. But it does not mean like not doing anything to like you have to have like a mission, right? Like what are you like trying to like do, like, or what's your like goal, right? Are you like if your eventual goal is to like build a startup or be technical, right? For example, then you know like making like you know building relationships, and I think health is obviously really important because you want to be a healthy like founder, right? I think like university is not going to last a long time. It's going to happen like really quickly. And I think there's a lot of time to focus on like career, like after, because what are you doing after your 4 years, right? Like you're just fully focused on career, right? And I think it's like a good opportunity. Like for me, like I think university is a really good opportunity to meet people, connect with people, like expand your interests. So like, yeah, like I think spending some time like, developing, but you don't have to be like obsessed with it. Like spending all your time on like on developing. I think like everyone has their own like strengths, right? Like, do I want to be like on the like do I want to be ideally like somebody who understands a lot of industries? Like, what kind of founder do I want to be, right? Yeah. And then you can strive towards that, right? I think like depends. Like if like for example, if you're a CEO, my advice would be very different, right? Yeah. It'd be like, try to it's not about the title, but just like what kind of role, right? Am I more on the business side? Then talk to as many people as you can, right? Yeah. Join as many focus on like co-ops in different areas, right? Or if I want to be more technical, then focus on on that kind of stuff, right? Like trying to get the best like tech jobs and or just in the technical community at at Waterloo or at university, right?
That's a dilemma I've actually been facing.
Yeah.
Where like I want to be both, like I want to be Mark, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the big Zuck. He pretty much just handling all like the visionary business stuff. But at the beginning, he was incredibly technical.
Right.
But like I think that's where like I've been like kind of I'm not putting my eggs all in one basket, and also like I just feel like super limited. And you're like oh my god, even coming today, like I drove in today and I saw Andrew and he's telling me like, yo, can't wait to see you, bro. And I walked into Waterloo and I'm like, wow, like I wish I was here. It was such a great vibe. And I'm just feeling like I'm missing out on so much network opportunities, so much like learning opportunities. And so what do you think do you think it's worth it for me to like focus 100% on like trying to put myself in a better environment for that?
Yeah, I mean, obviously environment's a big thing, but like I think like Waterloo has like some strengths and then like some like major like weaknesses, right? Like Waterloo's like student life is probably like the worst like student life out of any university. No. They couldn't care less about like actually creating a desirable like a student life. Like grind. That it just like a lot of people are more focused on like co-op grind, right? And like trying to get the best co-ops. So I think like, but in terms of like the environment, I think it's like the people like. I don't think you need a lot of people to like put you in an environment that matters, right? Like I think it's like five closest people to you kind of describe like who you are. So it's like I'm like at any school there's probably like 5 other people that probably have similar interests to you. I know like stuff like this. Like I mean I'm obviously at Waterloo, but like I think you don't have to be like. I think like that's important, and then like just being part of like a society of people that are like similar to you, right? So like for example at Waterloo there's like something called a Socratica, which is like this like society for like people that not like startups but like just kind of builder people that like to build stuff. And every Sunday, and they have like other events too, but every Sunday they get together and they just like spend a couple hours just developing together, right? Wow. On some projects, and then at the end they show off what they're working on, right?
That's dope.
Yeah. So it's not like they went fully like grinded on building startup projects, but they have this dedicated time, maybe during the week also you work on your project, but like you have this dedicated time on Sunday to just build on in a focused group social kind of environment and connect with people, right? So getting a lot of things done in one community, and explore like different like what people are up to, because everyone's got a different mindset on different spaces and different things they're doing, and you can kind of learn from everyone, right? Yeah. So I guess that's a good example of like, this is not a huge community of people. Like maybe it's like, 20, 30, 40 people come every Sunday, right? But it's
attend them as well.
Yeah, I attend them.
And these are potential co-founders, maybe network potentials, and etc.
Exactly. And you're also, if you're focusing on, you're building your own project, you can build stuff there too, right? So there's a lot of things happening in one community and one Sunday morning, right? So, so it's just like stuff like that, I think. Yeah.
No, you're absolutely right. Yeah, I guess I'm having trouble finding people who are like, who I actually really genuinely resonate with.
Yeah.
But yeah, like my focus right now, like I don't know, like I've wanted to work on like longevity my whole life, and like living forever type stuff. AI and etc. And I think like I don't know, like my I've been really debating on what I should be doing, but right now I think my play is to like either get into the NVIDIA lab at U of T or work with NVIDIA. So what do you recommend me trying to get over into that space?
I think like, so it's like, what kind of lab is this?
This is an AI research
AI
lab.
research lab. I mean, like, what are the key things they'd be looking for, right? It's like, I mean, like for on the technical side, right? It's like, it's more like projects, right? Like diving yourself into like these different like AI related projects, like working with like maybe like even like I think there's like ML classes you could probably take. I don't know how good they are, right? It depends on prof and you know like all that, right? Or on your own you could take like ML classes, right? It's like how can you show that you're like the best person like they could hire, right? It's like so one it's like projects, and then one it's like getting like because NVIDIA is probably one of the most desired. It is probably one of the most desired companies, right?
Especially nowadays.
Yeah. So it's not like you can get that like right away, right? So it's like getting other related work experience. Maybe it's like a LLM startup, right? So that's the first example. Like, hey, I actually understand like how to use LLMs. I don't know. This is a good example. And then maybe like Cohere, for example, which is not as big. They're pretty big actually. Yeah. They're fairly big. They kind of got up there lately. That's not a good example, but like it's just kind of like how do you get as close to like the AI space without and then obviously you can keep on applying to them. Like it doesn't hurt to apply to them, or like reach out. Or even like reach out to like people. Another thing I'd say is reaching out to people in the space that are already there, right? Yeah. So something that's very useful that I found useful was I had this like mentor who went through my program, management engineering at Waterloo. He graduated. He got into YC. He built his own business. He's like working on like, startup stuff. And, I always asked him questions. I looked up to him and stuff. So I'm sure there are people that went through Ottawa that are working at this NVIDIA lab or at NVIDIA. Yeah. And you can just reach out to them like, hey, I'm a CS student. You can't, like, a lot of people reach out for referrals, right? But why not just create like a genuine like relationship with people, right? Like, hey, like I'm genuinely interested. Like my entire life I've been like caring about this kind of stuff. Why not like build a relationship with those kinds of people earlier on than later, right?
No, you're so right. I keep forgetting like some of these things because I actually used to do that. I used to read like during the summer I would read like a research paper a day. Yeah. And actually like the reason I heard about this lab at all was because I reached out to somebody here who was doing who's publishing research papers with them in undergrad. I think he graduated now, but
so that's a good person already to talk to.
I hope he's still there. Actually, I probably should hit him up. Oh man, I keep forgetting. Like I keep getting, like Andrew does this for me as well all the time. Like it reminds me of like my context, and then I keep forgetting like things that I used to do in the past that would actually help me so much more if I just focused on now. But I guess it's because like.
Ayush, where do you derive consistency from? Like you go to this club every Sunday. Yeah. I'm sure it's just something you enjoy doing, right? Yeah. Okay. What are your other you'd say like consistent habits, like context relevant? And do you ever have you ever like felt pushed out? Because it sounds like mind in the game for you. Like it doesn't seem like it seems like you're going through it, and like the things you do make sense both from a kind of like momentary standpoint and also like where it leads you standpoint. How do you find things like this that you sort of end up both enjoying, but then they're also productive? And like let's say that like I just like dropped you in, I don't know, like Queen's University, like Waterloo's, like I don't know, they catch you like I don't know, like breaking a light post or something. Like, really, what would be your first steps in a totally new environment?
Right. So like,
that's a good question.
I mean like it's probably stuff you've already heard, right? I'm sure like either we need
to hear it again.
Like there's like clubs and there's obviously clubs and organizations, right? Yeah. Like around these like schools that have like people that, like I said, like that like you want to surround yourself with, right? So just trying a bunch of like communities, like either tech community. I like obviously I only have reference to communities here, like their communities here. Like I don't know exact because I haven't gone to any of those universities, but I'm sure there are like at least 5 people at any of these communities that, you know, have like a similar interest of like, you know, building or like, you know, like that have shown like actual, like they're putting time and effort into doing something. And let's say this dream organization or community doesn't exist, you can just create your own, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Like that's what these Socratica people did.
Okay.
Like they're my year.
Okay.
So Socratic and they started it like a couple of years ago because they didn't find there were people that were, or find a community that was like.
First year, they didn't find anybody, so they made it.
Yeah.
Really?
They didn't find a community that was kind of like, you know, their vibe, and they built it. And now there's like several like hundreds of people that kind of like go to their events and stuff.
Okay.
And like these are all like, you know, just, and they also get like funding from like VC firms and stuff.
Wow.
Yeah. So they've done a good job, and like they all from doing that. Like I mean, these are like one of the people named Anson, and she's like a huge like Twitter influencer person too. So that helps obviously as well. But I'm sure you might know Anson. I don't know.
I don't.
Oh, okay.
I will after this.
Anson?
Yeah.
I swear I've heard that before.
Yeah. So
I'm not too integrated just yet.
In X,
but
you're not.
I might make a commitment to do so. Yeah, because I no longer go to water. Like I dropped out of computer science.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, so I only do the business. So I just kind of like come back here and just like drop into events. Like, I don't have like too much of a pull 'cause I'm not on campus day to day. Like my car still works, so it's all good.
Oh, okay.
right. Obviously, velocity is one of those things that, you know, reaches like further than university. But, you know, a lot of these clubs, I guess, like sort of collapse for you once you're done university. Where do you see yourself staying in KW? I wonder if you have any intention at all to go back to LA, because I'm just interested in how like the cultures and ecosystems are different in places like KW versus LA versus Ottawa.
Right.
And if you have any intention of going to San Francisco, since I know that you want to do startups because they're hard.
Yeah.
And I imagine that generally the hardest, most ambitious startups are there.
So like, I think like KW ecosystems like is great. Like what I've seen like so far, like they're like a decent amount of like really good founders that are. It's a smaller community for sure, but like I think like there's like a lot of successful businesses that come out of like this region. But in terms of like LA, I wouldn't really want to go back to LA too much. Like I'm not a big fan of the city. It's just too big of a city for me. It's nice weather though, but like it's always the same weather, which gets boring after a while. But I mean, it didn't really matter because
say that in a few months during winter.
we were outside or inside coding all the time, so it didn't really matter too much. But I think like I've not spent that much time in the Bay yet, so I think that's like something on the top of the list.
Trying to get into SF?
Yeah. Like I think like like the community there is like really strong, and like the person like that mentor guy, he like lived there, right? Yeah, so like I'm still like looking at different like spaces. Like even Vancouver was really beautiful.
Right.
So there's a lot of, I think like obviously I like the West Coast a lot.
Yeah.
It seems like a good place to be. But I still haven't like experienced that many cities, so I can't really say like, hey, I'm gonna go to that spot. Just gonna try out a couple.
You're trying
places.
to
explore.
Is
Yeah.
Ottawa on the map? Is Ottawa
No, probably not.
What about Montreal?
Montreal.
Have you been?
Yeah, Montreal's nice. It's like I'd say it's like one of the top 3 like Canadian cities in my mind. Like Montreal, KW, Vancouver,
GTA.
Maybe no, yeah, no. But I don't know. Like U.S. Yeah, everyone wants to go to the States, so like I'm sure there's good stuff going on.
Right.
Good community.
Yeah, that's. I was debating because like I wanted to do an exchange program, but I was so scared of like missing out on network opportunities in the States. And yeah, like I don't know, like there's like so much opportunities like internationally, but like it just seems like all the capital and all the knowledge, all the talent is here in North America. So
yeah,
I think I want to like focus in on like trying to get my green card.
This is definitely like in terms of optimizing for serendipity.
Yeah.
What can you do?
Exactly.
Right. Okay, you've spend a lot of time in the content creator space.
Yeah.
As we wrap, who are some of your top content creators
Ooh,
across
fire.
platforms? Who are some of your top follows?
Oh, my favorite. Oh
Just
no,
like day to day.
my favorite creator that I like watch almost every one of his videos is definitely Ryan Trahan.
Really?
Yeah.
Ryan Trahan's videos
Yeah.
are
It's like a
it's the
penny.
penny to
Yeah, penny shop.
100.
Okay.
I just like love his like I met him obviously, which is
Right.
cool,
right.
and I just like I love his like personality.
Okay.
You'll have to watch one of his videos, but like it's just like you could follow like you feel like you're talking to him like every single video you watch, right? It's like he's got this like
okay,
yeah.
interesting. Yeah.
So definitely like yeah, like he's like
Yeah.
top of the list. Who else? Like I watched like Eric as well. Like
Yeah.
Eric's is a good one.
What about are you on TikTok? I know you hated TikTokers back in
Yeah,
the day.
I don't actually
No.
have the TikTok app. So.
Okay.
Yeah, on Instagram it's yeah like I don't know just random stuff, you know, like travel stuff and like I guess I don't have a list of like YouTubers that I watch consistently, but you know the ones I said those are the ones I watch a lot.
Can we get a quick history swipe through your phone?
Oh,
YouTubers?
like a For You page
Yeah, like a little.
on your
This is
YouTube.
my new thing. Like whenever I need to. Really
Yo,
get
yeah,
to know
Andrew and I
somebody,
love
I'm like,
doing
show
this.
me your algorithm. Show me what
My-
the algorithm recommends you.
Let's see.
It knows you better than
I don't
me.
even have the YouTube app because you know
Too cool for that.
no because like I spend too much time on YouTube.
Oh yeah, same here, Loki.
Oh, Dave Portnoy. Oh yeah,
Oh, Dave Portnoy.
yeah. Now I think I watch. I like pizza a lot. So
Nice.
Kelly
Oh,
Wakasa,
Casey.
Casey,
Nice.
a dog video. I don't know how this got 44 views.
Tim Cook.
Oh, Kia. Oh yeah. This is Eric's second channel.
Yeah, the second channel.
Yeah.
Okay.
Uh,
How are you feeling about titanium bezels?
what is that?
On the new iPhone?
Oh.
Alright.
Oh.
I saw the Tim Cook video.
Oh, I actually haven't looked too much
Yeah.
at the new iPhone.
You're
yet.
not looking at those keynotes anymore.
No, I just always watched 2008. No, 2000. Yeah, 2008, the Steve Jobs first iPhone keynote.
Okay.
Oh, just every
What is
time.
it?
Every time.
Wait, what is it like? It's Oh, you just every September
Yeah,
while they're streaming it, you turn on. You're like, this is the one, right, guys?
Yeah. Darkest moments, just pull up Steve Jobs, like, oh, this is why I'm working.
True.
What's the like the shtick? It's like
What?
it's an internet communicator,
Oh yeah.
an iPod.
It's like internet communicator.
He's like today we're gonna release 3 products.
Yeah.
And-
A breakthrough internet communicator.
Yeah.
A phone. No, breakthrough phone. Music device and internet communicator.
Yeah.
Or
They
music
just-
player or something.
Yeah.
iPod.
They just like keep saying it over
Yeah.
and over and over again.
Are you guys getting this?
Every time he's like, are you guys getting this? And then everybody just like starts like getting ready to just like.
These are not 3 devices.
He's not releasing 3 products today. It's only 1.
No way. Oh my
Oh
gosh.
my god, who would thought?
Yeah.
All right.
All right,
I gotta
we
wrap
have
this.
travel.
Yeah.
Travel.
Actually, like, I might be late.
Travel
but-
itinerary.
That's a
So-
Union
Sounds
Station.
good.
That's why I was checking the time. I was like, oh, shit. Anyways, Ayush, thank you so
Yeah.
much. It was actually such a pleasure, man.
It
Honestly,
was good chatting.
This
Yeah,
is
man, thanks for
exactly what I
coming through.
envisioned it to be. And more. I was like we were so excited, we were so pumped,
Yeah,
and then
man.
I was also like, I was like so stoked because like I talked to Bhargava all the time at
Yeah.
school, and I just texted him like, yo, I'm interviewing your brother today. And he's like, what? How do you do that, man? Anyways, but yeah, it was a pleasure having you on, man. Honestly, like I really appreciate how principled thinking you were. Honestly, like you're really grounded in core ideas, and it seems like it set you on the right path. And I've been trying to do that more often, and I'm really glad that it seems like it's a really good approach to looking at life.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, man. All right, all the best.
Thank you.
Take it
All
easy.
right, let's wrap.